An even bigger programming change is at 7 p.m., where Joy Reid's show, The Readout, ended tonight.
My show had value. What I was doing had value.
I have learned so much from her. I have so much more to learn from her. And personally, I think it is a bad mistake to let her walk out the door.
I doubt it.
It is also unnerving to see that on a network where we've got two non-white hosts in primetime, both of our non-white hosts in primetime are losing their shows.
Wow.
That's racist!
In this world, there's two kinds of people, my friend. Those with loaded guns and those who dig. Broadcasting from a Montana wilderness fortress at the headwaters of the Missouri, this is Matt Christiansen Live.
Hello and welcome to the show. This is Matt Christiansen Live for Wednesday, February 26th, 2025. Thank you for tuning in. Well, we already lost her. Super Mayor Tiffany Henyard in Dolton, Illinois, lost decisively and dramatically in a primary election yesterday. But, of course, we will remember some of her greatest moments. And then I guess it's time to see if she ever goes to prison. The FBI is still investigating, so who knows? In other topics this evening, the new FBI under Kash Patel and Dan Bongino reportedly investigating former director Jim Comey for an alleged secret anti-Trump honeypot op way back in 2015. Dan Crenshaw says he would take the opportunity to kill Tucker Carlson, were he given that opportunity. But then he ignores the opportunity to do it. And New York City Mayor Eric Adams, I guess he out-Bidened Joe Biden with some you ain't black commentary. And he also implied that he himself is comparable to Christ, which is its own problem. But great re-election campaign so far for the guy who just got out of his federal corruption prosecution. I'll take your calls in the second half of the show. Frequent caller Joshy Boy will join me for that. And as I'll get to in a moment, I plan some changes for this Wednesday show format. Going to tighten things up a little bit. I'll explain that in a minute. But if you'd like to call the show, you can do that through the Discord server linked in the description. There are instructions and help available for you on the server. Plus, I'll catch up with your Superchats halfway through and to end the show. Speaking of, hey, if you enjoy the show, please consider supporting the show. You can do that for as little as $1 a month over on my website. That's mattchristiansenmedia.com. Or, of course, mattis.k. Listener support is what keeps my operation running. And it is, of course, hugely appreciated. It not only helps me sustain it, make sure I can pay the people who make this show possible. There are perks available for your support as well. mattchristiansenmedia.com/support, linked in the description. And we got to say hi to our featured listener-owned business for the evening as well. That's our friends at Kineo Mountain Woodsmithing. These are high-quality, handmade, premium hardwood cutting boards, charcuterie boards, serving trays, and more, all of which are great gift options or the perfect piece to class up your kitchen or anywhere else. Blake at Kineo Mountain made me a cutting board engraved with my own channel logo. It looks amazing. It's been a part of our kitchen ever since, has not aged a bit. And in addition to the quality, that's the best part about Kineo Mountain's products. They are fully customizable, not just in materials, but in engravings too. So if you'd like a personalized gift like that one, that can be arranged. Or if you have any other custom hardwood project in mind, no matter how big or how small, Kineo Mountain Woodsmithing can make it a reality for you. Just get in touch at KineoWood.com. All Kineo products are made in Colorado from premium domestic hardwood sources. Kineo Mountain Woodsmithing is the absolute highest quality woodworking that will last you forever. Listeners of this show get 10% off all Kineo Mountain Woodsmithing products and services using promo code MATT10 at checkout. That's promo code MATT10 for 10% off at KineoWood.com, KineoWood.com. Find everything you need from Kineo Mountain Woodsmithing, plus other great offers from the rest of our friendly listener-owned businesses like Hero Soap Company, Western Razor Company, Hope Innovations, and more. mattchristiansenmedia.com/deals, deals by listeners, for listeners. And of course, it is the last chance to get in on that hydroponics kit sweepstakes all month long. Our friends at Hope Innovations have sponsored the Super Chat giveaway. The best or the funniest or the most clever Super Chats are acknowledged with this special sounder.
I love you.
And then coming up here in March, one of those chatters will be randomly selected to receive a free hydroponics kit from Hope Innovations. That is a $1,000 value. So if you hear that sounder responding to your Super Chat,
I love you.
that means you have been selected for entry, but there is only one little hitch. You got to head over to my website and put your email address that corresponds with your Super Chat username into that form so that I know how to contact you. I can't contact you through Super Chat, your Super Chat username, in the event that you win. YouTube doesn't let me do it. Rumble doesn't let me do it. I need your email address to be able to contact you. And of course, I will not share your email address with any third party. And as one last reminder for the month, if you had that, if you were selected for a Super Chat at any point in February and you have not gone over to submit your email address into that form, that's the only way I can contact you in the event of your victory. So doesn't matter if you had a chat selected back at the start of the month. If you haven't submitted, go ahead and submit, and I will reach out to you if you win. Speaking of, if you are entered into the hydroponics kit giveaway, keep an eye on your email inbox, because I'm going to be sending out that email notifying the winner, or my producer Tim will, one of us, early in March here. And then if you receive that email in the event of your victory, you got 72 hours to respond. So otherwise, I'm going to have to move on to pick somebody else. Anyway, thanks for supporting the show, and thanks to Hope Innovations for sponsoring the sweepstakes this month. mattchristiansenmedia.com/giveaway for all the information. All right. I mentioned some coming changes to this Wednesday night format. And, on Sunday, I was kind of discussing my philosophy of the stream going forward. Some adjustments that I plan to make. The biggest adjustments that I plan to make are going to be for this Wednesday version of the stream. Sort of this hybrid call-in show that's been going on for a few months now. And it's pretty clear that there just isn't a lot of interest in calls, as in people wanting to call in, and also people wanting to listen to calls. And so I've decided that I need to cut calls way, way back. I'm not going to eliminate, but they need to be reduced significantly. And I also mentioned on Sunday, I want to have people sitting in with me more often. So it's less of me by myself and more of me bringing other personalities in. So I think it makes sense for this Wednesday production just to collapse it and make this show a more compact product. And what I mean by that is, instead of doing an hour by myself about whatever's going on in the news or whatever's interesting to talk about, and then bringing someone in to sit in on calls, why don't I just mix in some personalities for that hour of content? Batman can join, Dell can join, Joshy Boy, we'll see him later tonight, he can join. Other people I'm trying to mix in, they can join. Think of it as like a rotating co-host seat. And for those of you who do enjoy calling the show, and I know there are several of you, I appreciate you. I don't want you to be shut out completely. So each show, I'm going to aim to take 3 calls at the end. And I'm going to be a little stricter. I've got a timer set up, and none of this applies tonight, by the way. I'm giving you a warning so that we know what to expect in future weeks. But I'm going to do like a 2-minute timer. You'll just get a bell. And so the idea is you'll call in, you'll offer your thoughts. You got 2 minutes to do it. You know, I'm not going to immediately boot you out at 2 minutes, but you'll hear a noise, so you know it's about time to wrap it up. And then I, along with whoever's sitting in on the show, will offer our thoughts on the substance of that call, and then we'll move on. Or maybe if people don't want to call under those new rules, maybe we just don't take calls. We don't have to take calls either. That's okay as well. I just don't think it's the right move to be doing a call-heavy show. So I'm trying to balance all the interests here. I also think it'd be smart to bring in email questions as well. I haven't done that for a long time now. And I think email questions are a little bit more of an approachable way for people who might want to interact with the show and the stream, but maybe you're a little bit shy to call, or maybe you're totally busy during the live time and you just can't call, but you would like to interact in some way. That's what email questions do. So we'll mix in that possibility as well. Bottom line, what I'm trying to do here, I want to maintain accessibility while trimming fat and making for a little bit of a tighter production. I also think that approachability is pretty important. Anytime you have big changes, like my channel, my stream has had over the last few months, inevitably, you're going to see people go. You're also going to see people who maybe haven't listened for a long time, maybe have some renewed interest in coming back, or maybe you have some new eyes that you haven't checked out the show before. Although YouTube basically makes it impossible for me to find such people, but they exist theoretically. I think in that kind of state of turmoil, in that state of change and transition, I think a 3-hour show like that is just a little bit less approachable. I mean, people who aren't core, like every week listeners, are going to see a 3-hour timestamp and they're going to think, ain't nobody got time for that. So I want to aim for something that's more like a 60 to 90 minute range for this Wednesday show production. More back and forth with me and someone sitting in and maybe a few callers and some emails. Less just me on my own and hopefully still plenty approachable for those of you who would like to interact. Those are my goals. Now, as I've said with any and all changes, nothing is set permanently. Maybe I have the wrong idea. Maybe this is all idiotic. And I'll change my mind and need to make further adjustments going forward. I just don't think the current format of an hour plus of calls is working out. And so I'm going to try something else. And of course, regardless of whatever direction this goes, I thank you, dear listener, for your patience while this version of the show finds its footing. But as I mentioned, for tonight, no changes. Joshy Boy will join in about an hour. And we're gonna take calls as we normally would for about an hour. So feel free to call in tonight under the old rules if you're thinking you want to do that. And we'll get to as many as we can in that hour or so of time. But hey, into the news. Breaking news just moments ago, or within the hour. I don't know when this was. But new Attorney General Pam Bondi has been saying, hey, I got these Epstein files on my desk and they're ready to go, but we just got to make sure that we clear out sensitive victim information and things like that. But we're going to give you a bunch of Epstein information very soon, maybe a client log, maybe who knows what the information could be. Pam Bondi just appeared on Jesse Waters' Fox News show tonight and said that she plans to release some information tomorrow.
Tomorrow, Jesse, breaking news right now, you're going to see some Epstein information being released by my office.
What kind? Are we going to see who was on the flights? Are we going to see any evidence from what he recorded? Because he had all of his homes wired with recording devices.
Yeah, what you're going to see, hopefully tomorrow, is a lot of flight logs, a lot of names, a lot of information, but it's pretty sick what that man did.
Okay, well, we'll
along
look for
with his
that.
Co-defendant.
Absolutely, and he had help. That's for
He
sure.
He sure did.
Okay, so you're going to get some information. Stay tuned for tomorrow. Until I see the information. People have been talking about this for days, weeks. I mean, it's been going on for a long time. So until I actually see that information, I'm kind of in a I'll believe it when I see it mindset. But I guess people talking about releasing information is better than not. So we'll see what tomorrow brings. Maybe a surprise is in store. But what a brutal Black History Month. First Joy, Reid, and now this. Famed Dolton, Illinois self-described super mayor Tiffany Henyard is now, I guess, the lame duck super mayor. She will still be mayor of Dolton, Illinois until May, but last night she was soundly defeated in a mayoral primary by challenger and apparent former ally, village trustee Jason House. Now, of course, Henyard's mayoral tenure has been one of, at least the appearance of, legendary corruption, spending taxpayer money on personal expenses and personal luxuries, launching what sure looks like a fraudulent cancer charity, and of course, most recently, physically assaulting her critics in a massive brawl at a township board meeting. So, as we always do, we will remember the super mayor, Tiffany Henyard.
Y'all should be ashamed of yourself. Y'all black. Y'all are black. And y'all sitting up here beating and attacking on a black woman. that's in power. Y'all should be ashamed of yourself.
People out there are judging off of hearsay, false allegations, and not facts.
Tiffany is in there. Tiffany is in there. Holy shit. I can't believe all these false allegations defeated her. How unfortunate. Adding insult to injury, that guy who I guess prompted the fight, what prompted that brawl that we just saw, this guy stood at the podium at this meeting and said, "You gone, bitch," to Tiffany Henyard. So prophetic, I guess, although maybe not that hard to predict that she would lose at the ballot box. But that was last month. "You gone, bitch." Turns out that was exactly correct. And that guy is now suing Tiffany Henyard for, it's a federal lawsuit, apparently saying she violated his First Amendment rights. I guess, I mean, if you stand up there and you say something to a public official and they respond by charging you and trying to punch you in the face, I suppose your First Amendment rights have been violated. But I mentioned these election results, they were not close. Despite her pre-election confidence, Tiffany Henyard lost the vote to Jason House, 88% to 12%. So out of 4,500 or so ballots cast, Henyard got just about 500 of them. So a very poor performance. So bad that Tiffany was a no-show to her election night party. I don't know why they planned the party. It is as though they thought she was going to win and then had just a terrible performance. So I guess she went home. But here's some reporting on Tiffany Henyard no-showing to her own party last night.
Tiffany Henyard was a no-show for her election night party after it became clear that she would lose in a landslide. I did speak with her by phone. She said she accepts the election results. She said, "The people have spoken, and God must have a different plan for me."
Is there anything in hindsight that you would have done differently over these last 4 years?
Yeah, I would have told on the trustees sooner.
The trustees she refers to are her former allies. 4 years ago, they ran as a slate, with Henyard promising transparency and accountability. Instead,
Mayor, we've left you voicemail messages. We had to go to the Illinois Attorney General's office to get you to turn over documents.
residents got a self-proclaimed super mayor who spent tax dollars on travel, self-promotion, and a questionable cancer charity. All of it exposed by WGN Investigates, and now the subject of an ongoing FBI investigation.
Why should residents pay for you to stay at the Four Seasons and a $10,000 bill in New York?
We're talking about
first-class
the
travel.
Election today, so you guys want some good footage?
Those issues are on the ballot,
We've been talking about the same thing for 4 years. I've answered every question possible.
You've never answered that.
So if you guys want to talk about me winning this seat this evening, let's go. I'll sit down with any of you, but I want some positive press for a change.
Maybe if she would have answered the question, she would have performed better in this election. But yes, God's plan was lying, stealing, self-aggrandizing. One might hope that God has a plan for justice against this woman. But unfortunately, we have to rely on the FBI for that. So I'm not holding my breath. But she is still under FBI investigation for all these various corrupt activities. Remains possible that she will be charged. The investigation is still ongoing. Meanwhile, she is actually still Thornton County Township or Thornton Township supervisor. So I gather, whatever the equivalent of county government is in this Illinois system. She's both the mayor and the supervisor of the township government. And so she's going to be mayor until May. And she will also be supervisor of the township until the April 1st election. So just a little over a month more. And technically, she's running for re-election in that election, but she's actually not on the ballot because the Democrat Party there in Cook County, they refused to nominate her for that position in December. But Tiffany Henyard says she's still running as a write-in candidate. She's not going to win. If you can't if you lost 88-12, nobody's going to write in your name in that way. So Tiffany Henyard's reign of taxpayer-funded luxury is over. Is she going to go to prison where she belongs? We'll have to wait and see. But in more Black History Month brutality, as discussed on Sunday, Joy Reid done at MSNBC. Now, per reports on Sunday that I saw, I thought she was going to finish the week of her show. I thought we'd have the most viewed Joy Reid readout week ever. You know, maybe she would have ratings good enough to convince her MSNBC bosses that she should stick around. But it turns out, no, Joy Reid just appeared on Monday. She already signed off. She's done not just with her show, but she's done with the network MSNBC. She is moving on from MSNBC entirely. And so on Monday morning, before she signed off on her actual show later on Monday, she did a stream in her home studio, and she cried about how her show had value.
My show had value, and that, I'm sorry, that what I was doing had value. The moment of guilt that I felt, that I went hard on so many issues, whether it was the Black Lives Matter issues of a young baby or a mom or a dad that was killed, or when we opened up people's eyes to the fact that Asian Americans were being targeted and not just Black folks, or went hard for immigrants who've done nothing but come to this country like my parents did, or whether we've talked about what the president is doing that is subversive to the Constitution. Where I come down on that is I'm not sorry. I am not sorry that I stood up for those things, because those things are of God. And you know, I'm a church girl too, and those are the things that I was taught were of God.
Try harder not to suck.
Yes, Tiffany Henyard and Joy Reid, the holiest among us. And I love this claim from Joy Reid that she was so persistent in her investigation of who was attacking Asians. We didn't just talk about anti-Black racism on this show. We talked about anti-Asian racism. Oh, did you? Who was attacking the Asians, Joy? What did your in-depth investigation find? I must have missed that hard-hitting report, but I would like to see it because, you know, there have been reports over the years, especially during the coronavirus era, of who exactly was attacking the Asians. I'll give you one. It's anecdotal. It's not data, but I promise you it's consistent with the trend. Remember that famous case in San Francisco where there was a group of attackers of color who assaulted an old Asian man? This old Asian man was walking around collecting cans with one of those little can picker grabber things. And they took his can picker grabber thing and they beat him with it. And they said on camera, "I hate Asians, N-word."
I hate Asians.
Jeez.
Did Joy Reid investigate that one in the interest of protecting Asians from racial hate? Now, in that case, they beat... Okay, so you watch the full video. They're attacking and beating up this Asian guy while saying, "I hate Asians." Like actively describing their motive for attacking this man based on race. And still, Chesa Boudin, the former DA in San Francisco. Now, there were hate crime charges originally, but he opted not to pursue them and instead pursued restorative justice, for which he became famous. Now, if there's a Joy Reid segment on this particular instance of Asian hate, as she prides herself on exposing, I would really like to see it. And I love the way that Vox twisted this. I was reading about this because that always was a very odd topic in the coronavirus era. Remember, it was Stop Asian Hate. And nobody really wanted to talk about who was attacking the Asians. It was just hashtag Stop Asian Hate. But don't look at who's actually attacking the Asians. The Vox tried to wrestle with this back in 2021. Who's attacking the Asians? Okay, Yeah, it is disproportionately coming from black people, but it's the evil whites who made the black people do it. Scroll down and read the story. Ultimately, there is a failure to remember that what got America to this place of racial hierarchies, the tension between black people and Asian people that sometimes turns violent. There's a failure to remember what got America to this place of racial hierarchies and lingering black-Asian tensions. White supremacy. White supremacy is what created segregation. It created policing and scarcity of resources in low-income neighborhoods, as well as the creation of the model minority myth, all of which has driven a wedge between black and Asian communities, which is obviously why black and Asian communities get along so well in every other country besides, white majority ones and the evil United States. Like, just look at China. Look how well they get along in China, where Chinese McDonald's says, sorry, no black people allowed in here. It was clearly white supremacists did this too. And they try to frame this one as not one of racial hatred. Well, that's just because this particular African population was particularly susceptible or carrying COVID, blah, blah, blah. They want to make it like not racial hate. All right, fine. Whatever the cause of the no black people McDonald's in China, why weren't Asians and black people existing in harmony, like Vox says is the default, without those evil white people meddling in this obviously natural friendship? Anyway, to bring it back to Joy Reid. Joy Reid is going to be fine. You know why? Because she her show has value. She's taking all that value over to Substack. The New York Times media reporter Ben Mullen says on Monday that's where she's going. Now, what exactly is she doing over there? She's starting a new venture on Substack. What is the new venture? Unspecified. But it will be a venture. And I'm sure there's plenty of value eager to get behind some sort of ambiguous Joy Reid venture, surely. But, all she has to do is beat Jim Acosta numbers over on Substack. So, just to retain some dignity, if she can do that, and it's a pretty low bar, she won't be the most disgraced former mainstream media news personality. Meanwhile, Rachel Maddow, MSNBC's biggest personality, she said on her show on Monday, she at least implied, it's all but saying it, she's saying her bosses are racist. The MSNBC bosses are racist because they're making all these big personnel moves, and sly Rachel has noticed, hey, they're getting rid of all the people of color.
An even bigger programming change is at 7 p.m., where Joy Reid's show, The Reid Out, ended tonight. And Joy is not taking a different job in the network. She is leaving the network altogether. And that is very, very, very hard to take. I have learned so much from her. I have so much more to learn from her. I do not want to lose her as a colleague here at MSNBC. And personally, I think it is a bad mistake to let her walk out the door. I will tell you, it is also unnerving to see that on a network where we've got two non-white hosts in primetime, both of our non-white hosts in primetime are losing their shows. And that feels worse than bad, no matter who replaces them. That feels indefensible, and I do not defend it. This is a difficult time in the news business, but it does not need to be this difficult.
So MSNBC also hates Asians, apparently. That's why they got rid of Alex Wagner and Katie Fang, in addition to Joy Reid. New MSNBC president Rebecca Cutler, who is responsible for all of these decisions, she issued a statement on Wagner and Fang.
I hate Asians.
So I guess that proves it. But why is Rachel Maddow remaining at this racist white supremacist institution? It's indefensible, so I will not defend it, but I will participate in it. Well, if it's an indefensible, implicitly racist institution, why are you upholding it almost single-handedly? Rachel Maddow effectively is MSNBC at this point. I know there's Lawrence Stop the Hammering, O'Donnell, a few other people, but it's really Rachel Maddow's network. She is their flagship, and it's not close. So it doesn't make any sense. Oh, this is so wrong. I would never defend it, but I will remain on the air as the face of this entire network. Why not quit on principle? Why doesn't Rachel Maddow leave if this is not defensible? Why not be Joy Reid's Substack podcast co-host on principle? And the answer is because that doesn't generate money. And if it doesn't generate money, well, isn't that really kind of your boss's point? Maybe that's why Joy Reid has to go, is because she doesn't generate money for the company. And if so, maybe they aren't racist. Maybe they're making decisions in exactly the same way Rachel Maddow is by not becoming Joy Reid's Substack podcast co-host. Maybe Joy Reid is just terrible. Oh, but no, it couldn't be. Black people are automatically awesome and should be immune from accountability in any way. Good luck. Even Rachel Maddow doesn't believe that by her own actions, no matter what she says on the air. But moving on, exciting news over at the new
An even
FBI.
bigger programming change.
One of these days, I'm going to remember to disable my clips and not do that. I'm going to get through a whole stream and not do that. But what would my stream be without the duct tape charm, man? It's all I have at this point. Anyway, exciting news at the new FBI. And I say new because, of course, last week, Kash Patel was confirmed as director. And then Donald Trump announced on Sunday night, Dan Bongino, deputy director. So perhaps those behind all the corruption at the Bureau maybe will be brought to justice, including former director James Comey, apparently. Maybe him first. Because now it's reported that the FBI, under the leadership of Patel and Bongino, they're looking into what happened with James Comey. An FBI whistleblower claims in 2015, James Comey launched an off-the-books investigation into Trump's campaign. I know what you're thinking, like, well, we already know they did this. They did all that Russia nonsense. No, this is something completely different. The whistleblower made these claims in a protected disclosure to the House Judiciary Committee last year, but now it's being investigated internally at the FBI. Well, and I guess against James Comey as well, who of course is no longer there, but perhaps left some fingerprints around. Now, this scheme that the whistleblower is alleging apparently used 2 FBI honeypots to spy on the Trump campaign, as in 2 undercover, presumably attractive female FBI agents who go into the Trump campaign and learn what they can learn on the inside using their feminine charm to gain information. And that's the idea of the scheme here. The Washington Times reports that Patel and Bongino now working to identify those undercover FBI agent honeypots who were working at Comey's direction. According to the whistleblower, at least one is still there. More on that in a moment. But this whistleblower also says, again, this operation was different from Crossfire Hurricane. This is not the Russia collusion investigation. This is something else. In fact, it predated it, according to this whistleblower. The honeypot op was in 2015, like the year Trump launched his presidential campaign. Of course, that was a year before the general election campaign when Trump earned the nomination in 2016. Crossfire Hurricane itself, the Russia collusion investigation at the FBI, that started in 2016. So the alleged Comey honeypot op started the year prior. I guess it was an original in that regard. Now, the whistleblower says he or she, we don't know who this person is, but this person claims personal knowledge of the scheme by Comey and that Comey personally directed it. But this is not secondhand knowledge. This is not a secondhand claim. It's not, I heard from a guy who told me. It's not the killers. Somebody had a boyfriend who had a girlfriend who told me whatever. It's someone who said, I have personal firsthand knowledge of this. But the whistleblower says the op, like the honeypot invasion, was not necessarily to look at a particular crime. Like, we think Trump did X. No, they sent the honeypot duo in there just to find out what they could find, as in, what sort of crimes can we dig up, potentially, is the idea. The whistleblower says that this investigation was so off the books, as in there was no record of it and it wasn't formal and you can't really go look up anything in the FBI system to find out what happened. So off the books that it was completely obscured from Justice Department Inspector General Michael Horowitz. Michael Horowitz already investigated potential FBI misconduct against the Trump campaign through Crossfire Hurricane and all of that. But the whistleblower says this investigation ultimately stopped not because of any sort of oversight intervention or anything like that. It stopped because a major newspaper, unnamed, but a major newspaper got a photo of one of these undercover agents, these honeypot girls, and was going to publish it. But the FBI convinced that outlet that the photo was actually an FBI informant, and you better not publish it because that person might get killed if you publish it. And so whatever this outlet was backed off from revealing the identity of this person, or at least an image of this person, and the FBI backed off the whole honeypot op at that point. Now, this is where it gets interesting. I mentioned that one of these honeypots is allegedly still in the FBI. Well, you read down to the bottom of the Washington Times story that broke this, and it says that the whistleblower says that one of the honeypot agents was promoted and is now a high-level FBI executive in a major field office. Well, there you go. I mean, that would imply that this whistleblower knows who this honeypot person is, or one of the two. And if Patel and Bongino or whoever they assign to this goes and talks to this whistleblower, well, there you go. The dots are connected, and you can see if this is legit or not. So no excuses to find out if this is legit or total crap. But it will be interesting to see what happens ultimately to the James Comeys and the Adam Schiffs of the world. It's an exciting time if you still have faith about people like that being brought to justice. So maybe. But speaking of intel agency degeneracy, by now I'm sure you've heard, and don't worry, I'm not going to go through all the chat lines, all the alizations, as Tiffany Henyard would say. But Director of National Intelligence Tulsi Gabbard says she has fired more than 100 U.S. intelligence officers across various agencies and revoked their security clearances for having what she says were improper and sexually explicit conversations in internal government chat rooms. The firings follow a report from Chris Rufo that came out on Monday, all about the NSA's secret sex chats. And Chris Rufo is citing two internal sources at the NSA, one currently there, one former. But these sources provided him with chat logs from the NSA's internal chat system. So like NSA Discord, I guess, is what we're looking at. NSA Telegram, something like that. Now, according to NSA policy, when you get hired there, you sign an agreement that states that the chat system is for mission-related material only. But many of these chats discussed what appear to be off-topic sexual items, kink, polyamory, and castration.
That's disgusting.
Among other things. NSA employees discussed their own personal gender transitions. Some of them brag about their own genital conversions. You can read through some of these examples. They're all disgusting. They're all gross. I'm not going to go through them all. Bottom line, at least formerly, must have been a sweet gig at the NSA. You get to participate in a degenerate Reddit thread, and you also get spy privileges until they fire you. But in defense of these employees, do we know for sure that this was, in fact, a violation? Now, they signed that agreement and says, you don't discuss off-topic things in the NSA chat room or the chat system, whatever it is. Do we actually know that this wasn't a formal piece of NSA training? Do we know that this wasn't part of NSA LGBTQ Diversity Day? What if this was actually part of their job training? You're going to learn about kink and gender transition surgery and all that. I wouldn't be surprised to learn that this is just total degeneracy by the employees themselves. It probably is. But as far as I've seen, we don't necessarily know what prompted all these discussions, because it does. I know federal employees are very comfortable. Obviously, they're very secure in their jobs. Prior to recent events, a lot of them think they're unfireable. So it wouldn't surprise me to learn that they're just so comfortable that they do, in fact, sit on their work Discord and talk about like butthole related things. So you can read all about that. So maybe it is just a symptom of that. I just wonder if any of this may have been prompted by the actual bosses. Like, was any of this actually a formal part of NSA work? And it wasn't just like secret degeneracy on the workplace chat. Maybe the bosses had more to do with it than we realized. This was not waste. This was the formal LGBTQ plus inclusivity training, something like that. All right. Also in the news, Texas Congressman Dan Crenshaw caught on a hot mic on Monday, and he said he would kill Tucker Carlson if he ever meets him. Crenshaw gave an interview to a British journalist with GB News. And GB News, which is an important piece of this story, GB News actually published the exchange on X, though they've now deleted the post. But this wasn't leaked by this was posted by the reporter or his outlet themselves. This was not like some guy happened to get the clip in some sort of unauthorized fashion or something like that. Now, I haven't seen the full interview, but these two, this British reporter and Dan Crenshaw, they were discussing Tucker Carlson's opposition to U.S. aid for Ukraine. And Crenshaw said, well, Tucker doesn't know what he's talking about. I don't like Tucker, blah, blah, blah. And so the host asks Crenshaw if he's ever met Tucker. And Crenshaw says no, but, I'll kill him if I do.
Have you ever met Tucker?
Ooh, don't do it. Please don't do it.
It's kind of hard to hear what was actually said there, but the reporter asks, have you ever met Tucker? And Crenshaw responds, we've talked a lot on Twitter. I've never met him. No, if I ever meet him. Sorry. If I ever meet him, I'll fucking kill him. He's the worst person ever. And then that clip goes viral. And then Marjorie Taylor Greene posted, she posted a response to this on X. The reporter actually posted some video and then said, hey, Dan Crenshaw was asked if he ever met Tucker Carlson. He said, I'd kill him if I saw him. And I laughed. But then he said, no, seriously, I would kill him. And Marjorie Taylor Greene posted that quote. And she asked Dan Crenshaw on X, hey, did you actually threaten to kill my friend Tucker Carlson? She quote tweeted that tweet from the reporter. And Dan Crenshaw responded, no, lol, no.
I don't want to hear any more of these lies.
And then everyone responded to Dan Crenshaw with that video clip that we just saw of him basically doing that. The reporter says, it wasn't like a one-off comment that he said that. And then the reporter kind of laughed about it. And then he said, no, seriously, I would actually do that. I do think it's fair and important to, if not criticize, acknowledge the reporter's role in this particular scandal, though. This reporter or his outlet, the GB News, they're the ones that put this out there. And it looks to me when I watch this, and I'm no fan of Dan Crenshaw, full disclosure, but it looks to me like this commentary was probably off the record, like at the end of the interview or when you're just kind of having some back and forth. It doesn't look like it's part of the actual interview. And in fairness to Dan Crenshaw, we all say ridiculous or exaggerated things in private. Now, I'm not sure I would say something like that to a reporter I don't fully trust. Maybe Crenshaw thought he could trust this reporter more than he should have, or maybe Crenshaw is just that rabid against Tucker Carlson. He hears the name Tucker Carlson, I'll fucking kill that guy. That's all he says. There is now an ethics complaint in Congress, though. Former FBI and DEA agent named James Comey has filed an ethics complaint with the Office of Congressional Ethics. So will the office or the Office of Congressional Ethics or the Congressional Ethics Committee actually investigate this?
I doubt it.
They're probably they're probably also too busy at the Office of Congressional Ethics. They're having sex chats with their coworkers too. They're not going to be looking at this. And it's not like I'm demanding that Dan Crenshaw be arrested or something like that. I think the fairest criticism for Dan Crenshaw is, okay, maybe it was a hot mic. It was an off the record thing. You're speaking in an exaggerated way. You didn't really mean I'm going to go hunt down the guy and kill him. It's just you really, really, really don't like him. Oh, the one thing I forgot to mention. I didn't pull up Tucker's response. That's the key point. That's what I'm trying to get at here is do I think that Dan Crenshaw is on some rabid murder quest to go get Tucker Carlson, and there's a serious criminal matter here or something. No, of course not. I think it's an exaggerated statement made in what Dan Crenshaw thought was a private setting, but really wasn't. But where I think Dan Crenshaw deserves the most criticism here is that Tucker Carlson responded to that clip and said, hey, why don't you come down, sit down for an interview with me? We'll see how you do. I'll send you my address, Dan Crenshaw. Now, as far as I've seen, Dan Crenshaw has not responded to that invitation from Tucker. And if you're going to go around in public settings saying you hate a guy is so, remember, it wasn't just I hate him because he's a jerk. It was he's wrong on Ukraine policy. He's wrong about U.S. aid to Ukraine. And on account of that and other factors, I hate him so much that I would kill him given the opportunity. If you're that motivated against a guy and you think he's that wrong and his ideas are that bad, why not take the opportunity to have a discussion in good faith? That's what I think Dan Crenshaw could do. It doesn't even have to be debate like, some formal contest with all these rules and there's going to be a winner and a loser. But I think to the extent that this public feud is so hot that one guy is saying, I wish I could kill the other one. If we could... First of all, Tucker, get some body armor and a bodyguard and make sure he doesn't make good on that when he shows up. But I think everybody, even the harshest Dan Crenshaw critics, and I'd probably be more aligned with those people, they would appreciate a good faith effort to go discuss this sort of thing. This is, in addition to something that motivates these two guys greatly, this is a very important topic in American politics. What are the boundaries of our support for Ukraine? Are there any boundaries? Why is Tucker so wrong? What if Tucker is wrong? Why is Dan Crenshaw's viewpoint on supporting Ukraine, as far as I gather, to infinity and beyond? Why is that obviously superior? This isn't just about like settling a feud between two high-profile men. It's about informing the American public. And if Dan Crenshaw thinks that's so important, it would be great for him to go have this conversation. It's not about who owns the other guy. It's about good faith in disagreement and making sure that the American people have enough information to have an informed opinion on something that matters a great deal to the country. But I'm not holding my breath that Dan Crenshaw will actually do that. We'll see. Okay, I have a Eric Adams item as well. Last week we talked about the ongoing scandal with Eric Adams, New York mayor, of course. He had his federal corruption case dropped by the Trump DOJ. Looks a lot like something of a deal to get him off the hook in exchange for the sort of law enforcement on immigration in New York City that Trump wants. The Trump White House is denying that. I mean, admittedly, the pieces kind of align there, so it's hard to say one has nothing to do with the other in any honest terms, but it's a question of what sort of deal you actually think is wise for the country, that kind of thing. Anyway, because of that scandal, even if Adams is out of legal trouble federally, he's far from out of political trouble, not just because many people are calling for his resignation, and Governor Kathy Hochul actually has some authority over him. She apparently has the right, the legal right, or the legal ability to remove him from office through some sort of process. She says she's not going to do that. She's just going to create some rules for him to follow. Anyway, he's also he's going to be politically accountable at the ballot box because he's up for re-election too. We'll see if he can do better than Tiffany Henyard. But Eric Adams is now trying to defend himself as part of this re-election campaign. And Eric Adams had something of a sequel to the Joe Biden "you ain't black" moment. Now, we all remember Joe Biden shouting at Charlemagne on the Breakfast Club back in 2020.
If you have a problem figuring out whether you're for me or Trump, and you ain't black.
Eric Adams may have made that theme even more clumsy somehow. And he also implicitly compared himself to Jesus Christ, which is another problem on its own. But last night, Eric Adams spoke at the mayor's mansion to honor Black History Month, and he was describing all his achievements for New York's black community. And at one point, he said, again, with reference to Jesus, saying, "Father, forgive them, they know not what they do." Adams said, and I quote, Raju Mohan, please don't bring your wrath toward me. I quote Eric Adams, "All these Negroes who are asking or axing me to step down, God forgive them.
This is a biblical moment. You know, when Jesus was on the cross, he said, God, forgive them, for they know not what they do. All these Negroes who are asking me to step down, God, forgive them. Are you stupid? I'm running my race right now.
He said the N-word.
And that statement prompted backlash. And so this morning, Eric Adams appeared on Good Day New York to clarify his statements. And he said he didn't mean like Joe Biden kind of did, well, all blacks must vote for me. He meant that all New Yorkers are Negroes, obviously.
The event you had at the Gracie Mansion last night, where you spoke about Black History Month, and in it you said, quote, all these Negroes who are asking me to step down, God forgive them. Are you implying that if you're black, you have to support you?
No, not at all. I'm asking for all New Yorkers to support me.
So who are you specifically talking to when you say Negroes?
Well, who has stepped down? Who has asked me to step down? If you look at that whole speech, the speech talked about the continuation of lighting your flame and continue to light and shine. And that's what we've done in this administration with our team. So those who have called for me to allow my flame to prematurely be extinguished, that's who I'm talking about.
So you're saying all New Yorkers are Negroes?
I thought I was very clear in my definition of what I said. All New Yorkers, we got 8.3 million New Yorkers, 8.3 million people didn't call for me to step down. I get just the opposite when I'm in the streets.
First of all, I didn't know that the Fox NFL Sunday guy, Kurt Menefee, is like a reporter in New York, so it's weird to see him in this setting. But questions you never think you're going to ask in your journalistic career, I'm sure. Are you saying all New Yorkers are Negroes? He can't even do it with a straight face. He's kind of smirking. So I'm glad he's enjoying the moment, at least. It was pretty funny. And I actually don't know what the hell Eric Adams means. Like, if I try to follow that sincerely, and I'm not just making fun of what he's saying. So the host asks, Kurt Menefee asks, to whom are you referring with the term Negroes? And Eric Adams says, the people who have asked me to step down, those are the Negroes. And so as far as I gather, what he means is anyone who has said I should resign or asked me to resign is a Negro, I think is the actual description that Eric Adams is giving there. So I think at this point, Eric Adams should probably hire Joe Biden to be his campaign spokesman. The messaging would be a lot more clear if he did.
Bingo.
As far as Adams' prospects to stick around as New York mayor, well, he said in that interview, I got support on the streets or whatever. I don't think he has that much support on the streets, or maybe this particular polling firm is asking people on the wrong streets. Because recent polling shows former governor and, of course, ousted nipple twister Andrew Cuomo as the preferred candidate among New York voters. And it's not even, he's not even in the race yet, Andrew Cuomo, the former governor. The New York Times is reporting that Cuomo may enter the race this weekend or next week, so it sounds like he intends to get in, but officially he's not yet. Now, according to this survey from the Honan Strategy Group, Cuomo leads among these poll respondents with 38% support, and Adams isn't even second. He's in third. Democrat Socialist State Assembly member Zoran Mamdani is in second place, 12% support. Adams is in third at 10% support. So it may be over for Eric Adams regardless. We'll see if he can recover, if he can convince enough, well, whatever term he would use, enough ends on the streets or however he described them. Good luck to Eric Adams. Lastly, before we get into calls, it looks like Jim Acosta and Joy Reid are going to have a little bit of competition in their podcasting efforts, because this morning, California Governor Gavin Newsom announced he is launching his own podcast. It's called This is Gavin Newsom. Here is the announcement video.
We need to change the conversation, and that's why I'm launching a new podcast. And this is going to be anything but the ordinary politician podcast. I'm going to be talking to people directly that I disagree with, as well as people I look up to. But more important than anything else, I'll be talking directly with you, the listener. real conversations. What's going on with the cost of eggs? What are the impacts, real impacts to you around tariffs? What power does an executive order really have? And what's really going on inside of Doge? In the first few weeks, we're going to be sitting down with some of the biggest leaders and architects in the MAGA movement. This is Gavin Newsom.
Look at this fat.
First of all, the obvious. How does Gavin Newsom, as sitting California governor, a state with quite a lot of problems, not just the egg prices or Doge, in fact, many of them far worse than those things. And Doge, I mean, may not be a perfect operation, but is that really one of the biggest problems facing the country? Some might call it more oriented toward a solution. Anyway, how does he have time for such a production? And who's paying for this? Is he getting paid for this? I assume not as sitting governor, but this is an iHeart podcast production. So there is a production money, production budget behind this. Even if it's not going directly to Gavin, there's money invested in the prospect that this guy, talking about problems that he's in position to fix, but is currently not fixing, he's just talking about them, they're only going to invest or spend that money if they believe that this is a project that they think is going to make money. And so who is getting paid to use the governor's platform just to talk about stuff instead of actually fix it? Unclear. But I think that it's pretty clear this is a presidential election or campaign move as well. Gavin is running in 2028. He's got 2 years left in his term as California governor. Bet on it. I assume maybe is setting this up to be the sort of like, look at me, own the cons. I'm an all-star type of podcast. He also says he plans to invite high-profile Democrats to try to hold the Democratic Party accountable. But I mean, that could be the same idea. I actually criticize my own. Well, I mean, that also has the benefit of, look how much better I am than this other prospective presidential candidate. Lucky you. Now, that said, if it is as promised, and that's a big if, but if it actually is Gavin Newsom bringing on voices of opposition in good faith, it actually might be kind of good if it's done right in that way. And it's not just campaign propaganda. What I mean by that is if it's actually unedited or it's not cut to make Gavin Newsom look good, it could actually make for some pretty interesting debates, depending on who he gets. As much hate as Gavin gets for the state of his state, and it's plenty, and he should get a lot of that hate, he actually is a pretty slick politician. He's a pretty good debate. He's probably the best debater that Democrats have. It doesn't mean I agree with his ideas. It just means he keeps his cool. He doesn't rage. Generally presents himself pretty well, at least compared to the Democrat field. Like, who's a more compelling debater, Kamala Harris or Gavin Newsom? I think that's a pretty obvious assessment. On the other side, though, of course, his positions are weak and easily defeated by anybody who has reasonable skill of their own in challenging him. So if he actually does get the best conservatives or voices of opposition against him, it's going to be hard for him to look great, too. But Gavin tells Politico that he already has half a dozen guests booked, but he won't say who they are. He says, look at CPAC. Look at the lineup at CPAC. So I guess you're going to find some people there. Again, Gavin has 2 years left as California governor until January 2027, and then he's moving into presidential mode at that point, if not earlier. But before we get into calls and bring Joshy Boy in here, let me catch up with some super chats. I'm going to head over to Rumble first. Sir Nomad, take my shekels, you wacky goy. All right. You should talk to Ben Shapiro about a collaboration sometime. He's such a nice boy, and his wife is a doctor too. All right. Well, I'll think about that. I thought I had my... Oh, here it is.
You're an asshat.
That was Ben's response.
You're an asshat.
I almost lost my Ben button. Thank you, Sir Nomad. Spice and Wolf, Harambe has a better shot of being elected than Henyard as a write-in. At least he knows how to throw a punch.
I love you.
Harambe reference is definitely going to get in. He deserves that honor. Let me see. Get that into the entry form here. Our friendly call screener, Dangerous Spaces. What the? All right, hold on. Lessons for next time. Create a better data entry system. You know, for some reason, the copy paste over from over from Rumble is not ideal. But I'll get that figured out next time. Dangerous Spaces says, I've been in the church my whole life, and my dad was a Baptist pastor for many years. The Reid and Henyard racial animosity views were never in any Bible I read. Invoking God or church is such bullshit. They are very pious, they say. One of my problems with hiring people based on race, sex, or trannyism, they will behave however the hell they want because they assume, maybe correctly, they won't be fired no matter what they do. Well, I guess you not only do they assume, there are a lot of legal workplace protections now from which they benefit. So your friendly neighborhood Fed. So U.S. aid money went to promote gay stuff in the UK. Weird, since I thought that everyone in England was already a homo. Preaching to the choir, if you ask me. More like U.S. AIDS money. All right.
I love you.
Any AIDS, I shouldn't say any, but AIDS jokes I'm going to give proper respect to as well. Let me, I got to type it in because of this stupid system. There we go. Okay. Dangerous Spaces also says, in a longer version of that clip, Crenshaw said, no, seriously, I'll kill him. Okay, so yeah, I hadn't seen that video. I'd only seen the description of it. Piece of advice, unless you specifically clarify what is on or off the record, assume nothing is off the record. I mean, I guess, but at the same time, if you're a reporter and it looks like they were taking down all their material and the interview itself had ended, I do think that it's questionable journalistic ethics to just be putting that out there in that way. It's not, I don't love Dan Crenshaw. I'm not saying it's like what he's doing is totally normal, but I don't think what that reporter is doing is necessarily totally square either. But at least now we all know how Dan Crenshaw really feels. All right. Over on Tibby Stream and YouTube, Long Dong John, if you ever feel unproductive, just remember, if your employer sent you an Elon Office Space email, you won't have to answer with, I treated the work group chats like a Senate hearing room.
I love you.
Never forget that poor Senate, what is it, the Hart Building where that happened? They desecrated it with, the acts that are described in an NSA chat room. Thank you, Long Dong John. Great White, Hot Mike caught Matt saying he would kill me, but it turns out he meant in the bedroom.
I guess what I just have to say to you is, are you gay?
Thank you, Great White. I don't kill I don't kill them. You know, I got to keep them around. I like my company in that way, the chat alleges. Appreciate it. Long Dong John, good timing for MSNBC to fire Joy Reid in February because they really made that bitch Black history. Indeed. All right. Daniel Yeager, Joy Reid, Tiffany Henyard, and now Charles Wide Neck McDowell. I saw that guy's picture. Yeah, he's back. A brutal Black History Month indeed. I forgot about that guy. The Derek Chauvin proof neck. That guy is something. He's a specimen, that man. Great White says, Matt cried that his show had value. That's it. That's the joke. Okay, all right.
I love you.
All right, the self-deprecation, I'll take that too. Okay, well, I'm a little bit past the hour. Let me see. I'm going to stop there, and I'm going to come back to your chats at the end of the show.
I'll have to just circle back with you.
Actually, Blankets, I see you over on Odyssey. I will get to you at the end of the show, too. I just want to make sure we have enough time for our callers, and I got to get Joshy Boy and all that. So I will be right back.
Stand back and stand by.
Hello, sir. You there?
Yeah, can you hear me?
Yeah. Might have to turn
All
it down a little bit. Might want to, let's see. There we go. Get yourself framed up right. Well, welcome. You're making your on-camera debut.
Yeah.
Does it feel weird? You've ascended.
Yeah, it is. It does feel weird.
Well, appreciate your contributions to the call-in show for all these years, and so we're gonna have you sit in the chair and see how it goes. We'll get some callers and see what people have to say.
All
right. Egren's up first. Egren, are you there?
You're muted.
Am I muted?
Hold on.
He's muted.
Yeah, one of these days I'll have a perfectly produced show, but today's not the day. Anyway, what's on your mind, Egren?
The Dan Crenshaw kind of puts the lights on how he's not very communicative or cooperative to other Republicans.
As in like anybody who has an opposing viewpoint is going to be just browbeaten?
I saw the confrontation that Alex Stein had with Crenshaw. It was kind of cringy as far as, but the facts kind of still remain. We wasted 20 years on a war that did produce nothing, and we lost good men for nothing. And despite Dan Crenshaw says, "Oh, you fought bravely," okay. Did we get what we wanted? No. Did we find the mass destruction? Maybe.
I mean, I guess in fairness to, how did I become the in fairness to Crenshaw guy tonight? What am I doing? I know that his feud with Tucker is well beyond just Ukraine disagreement, but I'll take your point that I've seen plenty of Twitter interactions too, where someone, I've seen him. Who did he go after? Like Cat Turd or someone? Like practically anonymous Twitter accounts where they'll say like, I disagree with your Ukraine opinion, and he'll just jump down their throats with something insane. And so it does seem like the guy, to your point, has kind of a hot head with disagreement for whatever reason.
Well, and not only that, he's supposed to be argumentative. As you and your professor, what's the why? Why are we doing this? Are we actually doing this because for an actual obligation, or are we doing this for other reasons that you seem to can't explain with other individuals you tend to talk to, with like Shmuley and others?
Did you cut that on?
Can you hear him all right?
Yeah, I can hear him.
Oh, Joshy boy, can you hear Egren or not?
I can hear him.
He is all silent.
Oh, maybe you guys have a weird connection.
Yeah.
He's not.
I can hear him now.
No, he's definitely. So
okay. Well, let me. Maybe we got a tech problem.
I can hear him.
Oh, okay.
No, I can.
All right.
Yeah, I can hear you now.
Okay.
Oh.
Anyway, what was
there?
What was your? Go ahead and finish your thought, Egren.
He's not. He's just like Mike Johnson. He goes to closed doors, say we have to do this, and we have a good reason, but you're not going to get the real answer for why we're doing all this.
As in, you're talking about Crenshaw talking about Ukraine support or what?
Ukraine, Middle East, like the fact that he can't have a civil discourse with Tucker Carlson, which is kind of like really strange altogether. I mean, it's more than just a Twitter spat.
Yeah, well, clearly. Yeah. I mean, there are a few people in the world, I don't even know if there's anybody, where if I was talking to like a reporter who I assume these guys are not best friends. It's just a reporter that he knows. Where if someone gave a name to me, my response would be immediately knee jerk, I'll kill that person. Mm-hmm. There aren't a lot. And really the only context you say that, even if you're kind of like joking or whatever, is in a private situation with trusted friends or family. I don't know. Josh, you ever have that sort of experience? A name prompts you to murderous rage and you just tell strangers, I would kill that person given the chance?
Never in my life. Well, at least none that I can remember. So,
well, like 60 years ago, or maybe like 100 years ago, yeah, that would be no problem. Nowadays, you can't say just shit at all. You can't say anything. So
That's true. The powers that be are listening to everything you say through your phone or, whatever other device. So we're all recorded all the time anyway, I suppose.
So to me, he is having the exact same closed doors, and I would say it is a good call out that Alex Stein did. Are you trying to secure Ukraine's borders or our borders? Because you're not really doing much of anything. And I would yeah, he did his military service. I'm not gonna deny that or anything like that. He's not like Tim Walz where he has to up his rank or anything like that.
Yeah. By the way, slight side point. The Minnesota Senate seat is up for election this year in the next cycle, not this year, but because incumbent Tina Smith is retiring, which means the Minnesota Senate seat is available. And Tim Walz was speculated to be running for it. He declined today. He says he's not going to do it. And that means that you still have the likes of Ilhan Omar, Keith Ellison, some of the other totally insane Minnesota people potentially being your next senator from Minnesota. So look forward to that.
Well, the fact that Ilhan Omar, the evidence is overwhelming. The fact that she has committed fraud to
the immigration fraud, the
Yeah,
brother marriage stuff, yeah.
Yeah, well, she should have been revoked and deported on that. That is it's she has broken a very respected law that all of us tend to care about because we're trying to hold some level of standard. And
when you say that all of us, only half the country actually cares about Canada. The other half will vote for her no matter what, right? So
well, I understand that. I'm sure their pirate buddies just love her so much. They gotta love that booty.
Oh yeah, they're flying their Jolly Rogers right over here to the United States.
All right. Thank you, Egren. I appreciate your call. Do you have any final thought before you're out of here?
I don't think Vivek should run for Ohio. I honestly think he should just run for New Jersey. Given the way he is and how he's acted, I would say hasn't earned the right to run for Ohio. I think he should go for other blue states and try to win over them. And I would say that he's trying to be lazy about it and just try to go for the easy win.
Is this in relation to the whole H-1B visa, or am I missing something? Because I haven't kept up with him in a while.
It's not just the H-1B. I would say he talks the talks and walks the walks, but hasn't been a fully honest person. I don't believe for as much as he says the base things, I think there's some underlying issue that we may not know, and that it is definitely connected to the H-1B. It's like he himself uses it, and I would say he's not willing to just let it go. And
for a while I had excuse the gayness of this all. I had a massive hard on for Vivek Ramaswamy when I first listened to him talk.
Look at this fat.
But I've listened to him for a while, and the guy was smart, and I was like, we need somebody like him in the office because he represents my generation, right? Or our generation if you're in your 30s or whatever. And he seems to have a plan, seems to explain it well. But when that whole H-1B visa thing came out, it just kind of soured me to him. It's like, well, we need people from my country.
I know that lost a lot of people, and it's just kind of a crazy argument. Vivek's argument was that we don't have the talent or ability currently, or the people of a necessary education level to fill these jobs in America. And I just don't think I don't think people buy that argument, generally speaking, and I don't think they should.
No,
go ahead.
It's a complete lie. You're basically being told by both sides, both left and right, that we just don't want any Americans. We don't want you. Period. And that's the underlying answer is you're just not for Americans, period. Whether you're trying to go for a higher paying job or even just a low paying job, you just don't want to hire Americans.
Yeah, Vivek has been called by Sargon of Akkad, or Benjamin, as we all know. He's been called like a fox. He's very cunning with his words, very smart and everything. Play the bass up, but once you kind of peel back his facade, you kind of see for what he is. That H-1B visa kind of revealed that for me.
Well, I got to let you go, Egrin, but thank you for calling in.
Catch you all later.
Yeah.
All right, man. Have a good night.
Do you have any other Vivek thoughts or anything else about that call you want to mention before we move on?
Don't meet your heroes, they say. Okay. Just don't meet your heroes.
You could. I know. I'll join the stream and describe my boner for Vivek, my former boner. Yeah. Great call. I'm sure that's not how you planned it, but it is the way it worked out.
Yeah. I don't know.
It is on brand, though. Don't worry about it. Let's talk to Zero Snark 30. Mr. Snark, are you there?
I am. I should make that my official title. Thanks. I'll write that one down.
Well, it already kind of is, but yeah, go ahead. What do you got?
Well, I was just looking over a lot of these topics that were recommended, and I concur that these are all definitely big stories. I was just out of town hanging out with some old college buddies, and I didn't really see much real-time news. And as soon as I get back home, I check my feed. I was like, wait a second, Joy Reid got fired? Are you kidding?
Man, you missed it? Mm-hmm. You've been away for days.
Objective standards have actually been observed. What happened? It was something. It was Sunday evening when I got in and saw it. It was crazy.
I thought you were talking about till now. So you actually saw it day of. It was just hours late. Yeah.
I was hours late. Yeah. So that blew my mind, and I'm sensing that with a lot of the meltdowns that we're seeing from certain people and people that are just suddenly acting even more unprofessional than usual, the theme I'm seeing is just there's some kind of connection behind the scenes that all these people are sensing, and they're kind of at the end of their rope. They're noticing that their usual Gramscian war of position is not working right now. So this is what we're seeing: panic from everyone involved. Adams having his very, very strange choice of words in public, and Joy Reid utterly losing it.
Yeah.
A lot of people that normally aren't held to account. They've been doing this crazy stuff for years, and now it's all being held to account at once. Not because necessarily you don't even have to be as unfair to them as they've been to you in the first place. You don't even need vengeance. Just stop trying to, as long as the system that's keeping them separated from the consequences of their own reactions or their own actions, reality reality has this way of avenging itself, as we're seeing right now. That's how I'm seeing.
That's an interesting way to phrase it. Now, Joshy boy, I know you've been put in the unfortunate position of being this stream's de facto black ambassador many times. So I don't mean to do that, and you can reject this question if you would like. But do you understand what Eric Adams is talking about at all? Because I do not.
Eric Adams is that guy that we at the end of the stream, right?
Yeah. So he said, he said, well, he's out there and he said something to the effect of, "May God," what did he say about God? It was like, "God forgive the Negroes who don't vote for me," essentially. Yeah. And then he was asked about it. He said, "Well, are you saying that black people don't, they're not authentically black if they don't vote for you?" And he said, No, I'm just talking about the people who want me to resign.
No, he's definitely talking about people like me, right? He said, if you don't go for me, then you're not black. Because I stopped being black a long time ago, so I guess I don't count anymore. But
he's denying that, but that does appear to be what he meant, as in like,
what else could he possibly mean?
Yeah, I don't know.
He said Negroes. I mean, like, seriously, I'm a Negro. Everybody's in there who's in New York is a Negro. He can't be talking about anybody else.
Yeah,
it's the stupidest thing I've ever heard.
Yeah. Anyway, Mr. Snark, I didn't mean to divert you. I realized I forgot to ask for clarification on the matter.
Well, what do you mean about which matter specifically?
Oh, just I needed the opinion of color about what Eric Adams meant. That's all.
Oh, fair enough. Yeah. Right. So this is what happens when the entire left wing, as we know it, has been trying to build some kind of strange insular pocket society within our broader society where they can just do whatever the hell they want and consequences don't exist.
Yeah.
And finally,
and that is, you're right. That is really what has been constructed, not just in government in recent times, but the ideology has infected so many industries that it exists in so many businesses too. Like if you follow the ideological rules, or even better, if you're one of the protected groups that the ideological rules seek to uphold, you do sort of exist in, if not an accountability-free environment, an environment that is of reduced accountability compared to others. And I think you're right that we're watching a lot of those old rules. They're really new rules, but they're old relative to what's going on right now. A lot of that stuff is crumbling, and you're seeing not just hilarious consequences, but hilarious reactions to those consequences.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. I have two last real main points to make about this general topic, and then you can go ahead and kick me off and find time for another caller. But the thing that I like most about this second term of Trump and the people he's got around him is that they're finally understanding this Gramscian war of position that the left has been waging since longer than any of us in this call have been alive. Mm-hmm. And they're just at least countering their attacks on that same level, saying, hey, we're actually like facing you at this level of war of position and saying, no, stop. And we're going to stop you from doing this. And then just doing that, just stopping their momentum like that, then the insular bubble that they've made, it starts to crack. It turns out they weren't just, they thought they were just floating free of gravity, but it turns out they were just in free fall, and now they're hitting the ground. Yeah. So that's all you have to do. You just have to acknowledge the level of society that they're attacking you on, fight them at that level, and you can just watch them instantly crater, and that's what makes this so satisfying.
I do very much enjoy. No, don't do that thing that we've been doing for the last 4 years. That's only our thing. You can't do it. And of course, I would prefer a country that is of higher principles, higher moral character than we are. But I'll take your point that, like, listen, man, if you want to return to a country of high moral character, you have to beat them at the current game board. And the current game board is so corrupted and so polluted that the pure rules of principle that I think good and honest and decent people would want, they don't win on that game board. And that's just the reality of it.
Yeah, and micro point, a sub point of what I was talking about, how I was talking about Gramsci, or if there are any Italian people of Italian descent listening who are mad at how I'm butchering the name. Like the name Gramsci, it's ringing a bell here, right? Everyone's on the same page about it?
No, but
no.
Go ahead. I'm sure I'll get it figured out.
If you just, he was like a mid 20th century Italian fascist, or he was just a no bueno revolutionary crazy guy who he was basically the Saul Alinsky of Italy.
Okay.
And he had this theory of how the left, or how statism takes over society by just marching through its institutions. Everyone marches like robots on the same wavelength and blocks out any kind of contradictory thought. A war of position. You take the position and you just kick out anyone who isn't on your side. That was the category that he was writing about. That was his plan. And you know who the first person to translate Gramsci's writings into English was?
Who?
The father of Pete Buttigieg.
Huh.
Really?
Odd coincidences.
So look into that for sure. I recommend that. So yeah, one last funny story that isn't on this list, but I'll just leave you with this as a laugh.
Go for it.
Just to check if you've heard of this. So you know about the movie that's leading the Oscar nominations this year?
I do not, because I never pay attention to that stuff. That's not just movies. That's movie adjacent. That's like movie subtopic. You know.
No.
I will only mention this. Oh, go ahead, Josh.
You got it, Josh.
No. Go ahead. I might know what you're talking about. Go ahead.
Right. So I'm only mentioning this because it's a great moment where the Oscars have totally own gold themselves. They've shot themselves in the foot. No, wait, worse than that. The one thing worse is to shoot yourself in the foot while your foot's in your mouth, and they've done that. It's beautiful.
Okay.
I haven't cared about the Oscars since Nightcrawler came out in 2014, and Jake Gyllenhaal didn't get even nominated. Because
that was a pretty good movie. I liked that one, yeah.
Great lead performance. He should have gotten nominated. He was crazy, a great villain protagonist, in my opinion. So, other than that, but the thing is, the movie that got 13 nominations this year, because this is the first year that the Oscars have finally implemented their diversity requirements. You have to have this percentage of non-white, non-straight, non-sane people either in front or behind the camera for your movie to get nominated. And so this weird crime comedy musical made by Netflix about
I think I know what you're talking about.
About a cartel boss who wants to escape his life of crime and transition into a woman. That's the premise.
Yeah.
And this has led to the first ever man being nominated for Best Lead Actress because they got a trans woman actor and they nominated her for Best Lead Actress.
Good. Okay, so they've taken away women's opportunity with this.
And the best part, look up this actor's old tweets.
Okay.
There's this hilarious thing. Turns out they accidentally picked Spain's equivalent to Bruce Jenner, and they found the old tweets saying stuff like, "I can't stand Islam and how it violates human rights. We need to ban it from our country."
Wow.
And turns out they found a bunch of secretly based opinions, like, "Oh, no one really cared about George Floyd until now, and he was just a sad, dangerous drug dealer until now." Like, just saying all these brutal things that are sometimes shockingly based.
With Eric Adams, comparing himself to Christ, and I think the way that we've strayed from traditional faith and traditional morality, the degree to which George Floyd has ascended to godlike figure is insane. I mention all the time how my wife and I, we enjoy watching trash TV like dating shows, and people who like to watch that kind of stuff will be familiar with the show Love is Blind. Do you guys know that show?
It's ringing a bell.
These people date and they have to get engaged without actually ever seeing each other. They only talk to each other.
Oh yeah, I have heard of that. Yeah.
But okay, so we're watching the latest season and it's in Minneapolis. And one of the women, because obviously if you're going to get engaged to somebody, you need to do the deep dive on core values, vision for the future, things like big concepts, faith, morality, all that stuff. She starts poking him about George Floyd. Like in place of like, what are your core values? What is your opinion about George Floyd? Because if we don't have the same George Floyd opinion, there is no way that I could possibly marry you. Now, in the past, this would have been like, do you accept Jesus Christ as your Lord and Savior? Because if you don't, I don't know that we mesh. Now it is, do you accept George Floyd as your Lord and Savior? Because if you don't, we're not going to get married. And this woman is dead serious. It's not a bit. It's not a joke. She needs this guy. And this guy was like, and all the men, because all the men have been bullied and emasculated. They just go, well, I respect all opinions about that. I don't really have an... Bitch, that guy was a drug addict who pointed a gun at a pregnant woman's belly. You need to yell that through the wall.
And pistol whipped her, by the way.
That guy was scum of the earth, okay? He was entitled to due process like anybody else, but he deserves 0 mourning. That's what should have been yelled at her.
Exactly.
But anyway, to bring this back around to the point, like, yeah, the idea that you can't have a George Floyd critical opinion and exist within the progressive orthodoxy is insane. Why? Why is he the martyr? Why is he the saint? Why is he the holy man?
Well, basically, they're evil. That's about it. They are just evil people. When you see all this opposition that's been going on with Trump's executive orders and everything, like that sanctuary city, I think, was it Boston in Massachusetts or was it another city?
Well, there's so many of them. I don't know.
Yeah, but one of my coworkers at work, he was talking about how there were 9 illegal immigrants who were child diddlers, right, that were released, and they wanted to have a sanctuary city for them. They said these people are just evil. That's it. Right, that's all that it is.
A sanctuary for illegal immigrant child rapists. Okay.
Yeah. So I don't. Part of me feels bad for these psychopaths, but the other part of me is like, you guys are enemies. Basically, you're just evil. And whenever you fail, when you get fired, when you get released, when you go to jail, we celebrate that.
In my younger years, I rejected such clear distinctions. Like, oh, come on, like the world's not as simple as good guys and bad guys. But to the point that you're making, does evil exist? It does. Does good exist? It does. And I think those distinctions are pretty clear these days. But anyway, Zero, quick last word from you if you want. Sorry to kind of hijack the call away from you there. But clearly you've provoked some thought. So I appreciate that.
That is exactly what I wanted to do. I love when I can ask a question and it gets a conversation going that's self-sustaining and goes in other directions. I love that. And that is, I think, the core issue. I find very few people in my personal life or even places I find on the internet who are willing to agree with me saying there has to be an agreement that objective good and objective evil actually exist.
Yeah.
Sure, there might be shades of gray in between maybe, but for there to be a complete spectrum like these people love to be on, you need actual white at one end and actual dark, light and dark, order and chaos. You need, you need an actual like good on one end and evil on the other end for it to even matter. You need some kind of poles to the ends of this spectrum. That's all.
I appreciate your point, and thank you for calling in, man.
Sure thing. Love to call in again sometime.
Of course. Have a great night.
Yeah, man. It's good hearing from you.
But yeah, I wonder what, there's got to be polling on this. Not that polling is always the most reliable or objective measure of public opinion, but what percent of people do you think believe in good and evil, or good and bad in an objective sense in that way?
Well, here's the thing. You got the exact same leftists who believe that everybody is basically good, right? Because this question has been asked to them before. But at the same time, the people they don't like are just objectively evil. So they kind of believe two contradictory things. They have some concept of good and evil. They just kind of misconstrued it.
Yeah, and isn't that the trap? Is like, if you don't necessarily believe in those distinctions and you believe everyone is fundamentally good, don't you open the door for evil to infiltrate and mask itself and exert its will on you? Like, when you fail to make proper good and evil distinctions, you necessarily open the door to evil in that way.
That's exactly what's now. I'm not gonna get into religion too much, but that's exactly what's happening in the Protestant churches, right? We have a lot of infiltrators in. Yeah.
How dare no. This is, you're not going to go off on some Catholic. No, you're an Orthodox guy, aren't you?
I'm getting into Orthodox.
That's right. I forgot.
But yeah. But anyway, I'm gonna leave it there.
Finish your thought if you want to.
No, but
I guess I'm obligated to stick up for Team Protestant now. I don't. So
no, don't stick up for Team Protestant. Don't get me started. But the point is that the reason why our particular branch is failing is because we allow this bullshit to go on. We have like women priests up in there. We have gay couples.
You're talking about Protestantism generally, like
yes.
Okay. Yeah.
In its entirety.
Okay.
And I say this as a Protestant myself.
Yeah.
So. But anyway, that's it.
All right, let's talk to Skulldugger. Mr. Duggar, are you there?
Hello, yes I am. Hello, Joshy boy.
What's up, man?
Oh man, what is on my mind? This is a banger of a lineup of topics here. This is like, where do you even start?
You haven't made your pick?
The Tiffany Henyard thing. I just have to make a shout out at the top of that.
Bro, let's fucking go. Let's do it, man.
I mean, Sean at Actual Justice Warrior is hardest hit by this news.
I know. His entire career, he lost all his material.
This is a huge strike.
I'm going to have him back on the show soon, and I'm going to ask him, what the hell are you going to talk about anymore?
I know.
I mean, losing Tiffany Henyard and Joy Reid in the same week. I mean, this is
Jesus Christ. It's
my goodness.
It's fucking beautiful. I will say. No, go ahead.
No, I was just saying something has turned here.
Yeah. This would be probably one of those rare instances where Black women get held accountable for their actions, because otherwise they would never have accountability whatsoever.
You know who else has a podcast? Tiffany Henyard. It's on YouTube, and you can ask her questions in the comments. And I've tried to invite her on to talk. Yeah,
she has a podcast. For
well,
real?
Everyone does now. Now, if you want to have like, God, if Joy Reid and Tiffany Henyard.
What's she gonna talk about? How good the crack is and how good her weed looks?
Yeah, I don't know. If you want to create an unlistenable product, they'll beat Gavin Newsom in that regard for sure, if those two combine forces.
Have y'all noticed the pattern though, that every time a female reporter gets fired or something like that, or some gay guy, right, like Don Lemon or whatever, they always start a podcast. Jen Psaki has one, I think.
I always feel like, what does that say about me? Where I'm like, my existence in this world is what all these people are settling for. Not that I'm like super. Yeah, I'm not. I don't have delusions of my own. Anything. It's just funny that they're all like, well, my life is over. Time to start a podcast.
Yeah.
The thing is, it works for some people. I mean, like Megyn Kelly was on like a kind of a downward. She sort of monkey barred over to NBC from Fox because
they paid her a ton of money though. That contract with NBC was giant.
Right. It was a big giant thing, but it was a toxic contract from what the terms that were in it. I mean, she was guaranteed absolutely nothing. And she had to they had complete creative control over the things that she said, which is why it's like she goes off script one time and she gets fired.
Well, and if people remember what got her ousted there was she said that not all blackface Halloween costumes are bad. Like if you're a kid who dresses up as Michael Jackson or like formerly black Michael Jackson or when kind of in between Michael Jackson and you wear blackface, that is not the same thing as like, dressing up, putting on blackface and carrying around a bucket of chicken and watermelon and drinking the purple drink.
Even that, I wouldn't. I mean, call me racist or whatever you want to call it, but even that would be funny if it's in the right context, like carrying around a bucket of chicken or whatever.
Yeah, but the point she was making is it's not malicious always, and of course she's right about that. Well, in fact, it's not just malicious. You're admiring the person. You're paying respect to them.
And she was specifically tying it to Halloween.
Yes, that's right.
Which was, I mean, if you're talking about like an out of context, but that was the thing is like NBC had the right to clip her for absolutely anything. So she had she was on the plank essentially the entire time she was there, and then she falls off of that and is far more successful now than she was even when she was at Fox.
Absolutely killing
she's
it.
doing real well for herself.
And I think that's one of those like if you got talent translates, and she has talent, and it is obviously carried over.
As we're going to find out with Joy Reid, she never had talent. She was literally just a black face, to be ironic about it.
Yeah.
I mean, that's all she was. There's no talent with Joy Reid, and we're about to find out. Like, she's going to try to fire up something on her own. Nobody is going to watch. And it's going to be like when Brie Larson tried to have a podcast because
I didn't even know that. I didn't even know that happened. What happened with it?
Disney forced Brie Larson to basically try to get out in front of the public in a good way because she had so much bad PR because they were really trying to use her in marketing for her character as Captain Marvel because they were trying to use Captain Marvel as a centerpiece for what they were doing with the MCU. And then they just found out that like nobody likes this chick and she's extremely awkward and weird and she couldn't even YouTube well. And then after that happened, they were just like, okay, well, we can't write anything for your character anymore. So bye.
Rachel Zegler has taken the title of most insufferable cunts. So far.
Absolutely.
She's going to get the Oscar for that. Isn't that movie coming out in a couple weeks? It's like,
dude, that trailer has the most dislike ratios of all time.
It is literally the most disliked thing to ever hit YouTube.
Yes.
What are the numbers? I've never looked.
Not just movie trailers, not just the ratio of dislikes to likes.
Wasn't it Rebecca Black's Friday that was the most disliked video ever? Did they take that?
Not anymore.
Not anymore. They beat her. Huh.
So both the teaser trailer and the official trailer both broke the records for most disliked thing.
We're talking about over 1 million dislikes.
Wait, where do I find this? What's the name of the trailer? Is it just Snow White?
Snow White. Just look up Snow White.
You'll see. If you just go on Disney's YouTube,
and you'll see the not so Snow White.
Snow White trailer. Okay, I don't want to play it because they'll copyright me. Hold on, sorry. They don't. I don't have the plugin to show the YouTube dislikes, so all I see is 48,000 upvotes. But do you happen to know? Bad. Like what the?
I don't know what it's at now. I know what it was at several weeks ago. It was at somewhere around 41,000 likes, and it had broken 1 million dislikes.
And this is only like 1 million dislikes, and it's 2 months old. It's not even that old,
dude. It's. I'm about to look it up right now, but it was horrible. It's the most.
Well, when you look at the fact that Disney has like 8 million subscribers, and you have like 100 or 1.5 million dislikes, it means that.
Oh my god!
More than 8 people.
Now go ahead. Finish your point.
I'm just saying, like more than 1 in 8 people are stopping by to dislike this trailer. It's like,
dude, the comments are phenomenal. So currently,
have you seen the music videos? Have you seen? So there's a channel that.
Oh my god, dude! I saw that. One of my buddies showed me like this.
They've done 3 now.
It's fucking hilarious. So the current dislike ratio that's sitting for this is 1.4 million dislikes right now.
Good lord!
Wow. Okay, and it's got like 48,000 up. So it's not only a massive number; the ratio itself is gigantic. To have 48,000 likes be a terrible number compared to the dislikes is incredible.
Here's the thing about this. Here's the thing about this movie. And this is a really simple thing to state. Snow White is one of Disney's most iconic and most positively viewed properties.
It put them on the map.
All you had to do in order for this movie to be massively successful, we're talking about breaking $4 billion, $5 billion at the global box office. All you had to do was just remake the thing that everybody in the world already loves.
Should have picked Brie Larson. She could have done it.
Just redo the thing. And the fact that Disney couldn't figure out that all they had to do was just remake The Thing, and now they're going to actually lose money on this movie. The fact that
it doesn't even look like it's how's the production cost on this that high?
So they've already had to do massive reshoots because originally the dwarves were originally played by like a diverse group of magical humans.
magical force.
But why was that undone?
Because it test screened horribly. That's in the teaser trailer. So the teaser trailer I think still has the magical.
So it wasn't politics. Actually, it's just people thought it was weird.
It was both. So
it was both.
So one of the things that happened early on when this movie was announced was the actor Peter Dinklage.
Oh yeah, that's right.
Famous dwarf actor.
Only I could be a dwarf. That's right. Yeah.
Well, he's basically saying that you can't just cast dwarf actors because the character is a dwarf, which is exactly what happened with him in Game of Thrones.
Yes, and he was great in that, by the way. Everyone knows him from that.
He's fantastic for the first 4 seasons. But it's a classic example of pulling up the ladder behind yourself.
Of course.
So after he did that, so then they wrote the script without dwarves in it, and then images. I think it was before even the teaser trailer came out. I think it was just the production stills had come out, and it showed the 8 magical or the 7 magical people or
forest
whatever
dwellers.
Held it. Yeah, the forest dwellers. And people cringed at that. So then and it was not taken. It was basically people were like, "Oh, we're going to boycott this movie" as soon as that image came out. And so they were like, "Okay, well, we need the dwarves in there." So then they went back in and put in these CGI atrocities, these monstrosities.
Looks like shit, bro.
And it is they are like pure uncanny valley. Especially, I think Dopey is absolutely the most nightmare-inducing of all of these things.
I'll have to move on, but now I got to see this. Okay,
but
Dopey.
Here's the thing is, so with all the work that they've had to do to recreate this film, it's blown up the budget. So the budget for this, the production budget has run probably up close to $400 million. And then on top of that, they've had to do numerous advertising campaigns, which marketing for a movie can easily double your production budget. So we're talking about this movie has to make between $800 million and $1 billion in order to just really break even, in order to really have
that shit gonna fail hard. And that doesn't kill Disney, nothing will.
And here's the thing is nothing Disney is doing. None of these live actions have been that successful.
The only one I've watched was The Lion King because I just love The Lion King so much, and it was okay, but it's not. It's which one is my son's going to watch first if we sit down and watch?
I think The Lion King was the most successful of all of them, but that's because it was recreating one of the more successful.
Yeah. Anyway,
also almost one to
properties.
All right, I got to let you go, but thank you for the insight on Snow White. I didn't know that much about this.
I didn't mean to take. I didn't mean to take.
I appreciate it. That was a fun detour.
Man, you're good.
So
that is such a clusterfuck, man.
Thank you for the call.
The one last thing I wanted to say is about the FBI is this really is, I think we are witnessing not just a once in a generation opportunity to finally clean this. I mean, the FBI has been dirty for 60 plus years, and we're finally looking at our first real opportunity to do anything that amounts to cleaning up in the FBI. And this could be, this could literally change the course of our country.
I'm always skeptical because it's like, we're going to do this, we're going to do that. Do they actually do it? Hey, if anyone was going to do it, I think Cash Patel and Bongino are a pretty good team. And
you have Pam Bondi, who's willing to actually bring charges against people. And you have Tulsi Gabbard, who's also willing to use the rest of the intelligence apparatus to support anything that happens with the FBI. So, I mean, between Cash Patel, Bongino, and the other, I mean, never in its inception has the FBI had the entire government looking at it going, I think it's time to clean some stuff up.
Just wait until we see Comey's chats, man. I wonder what sort of degenerate stuff he's been talking about, but maybe we'll find out.
Oh, man.
All right.
I don't want to know.
Thank you for the call.
Have a good night, man.
All right, thank you. Good night, man.
Okay. Got a few more before the top of the hour. Tom, let's get Tom's thoughts. Tom, are you there?
Yeah, how you doing?
Hey, man.
Well, what's on your mind?
Oh, this Gavin Newsom thing is definitely positioning for 2028. I mean, he's polishing up his image. He wants to provoke a few conservatives and get his name in the news cycle. Now, that's absolutely a step towards 2028.
You know, I feel like I've been inadvertently kind to Dan Crenshaw and Gavin Newsom tonight, which wasn't necessarily my intent, but I do think Gavin Newsom against, say, J.D. Vance, who's probably the presumptive 2028 candidate. Now, obviously, I know which candidate I would support, and I know which candidate I think is right on the issues. But you want to talk about what I think would be a pretty high-level debate? Put those two against each other. I think you're going to see a pretty good product.
I agree. I would like to see it. And like you said earlier, we could get some good content out of it, but we'll have to see. And
do you think they'll actually let people go like unedited with Gavin, or do you think they're going to do?
No, he might hit. He's looking to be the next presidential candidate. I think it's going to be heavily edited.
It's just a clip machine, probably.
Yeah, it's a clip machine to try to make him seem like smarter than his opposition. I mean, I don't dislike JD Vance, but I'm not really impressed with him yet.
Okay.
Right. So while that will be high profile and everything, those two going at it, to me, it'll just come up as kind of generic or kind of boring, right? What Gavin needs to do is probably grab some debaters that are not well known to the sphere. I've been recently liking Andrew Wilson a whole lot. He's a professional debater. So
yeah, I've seen some. I know you've sent me some clips of his, and I've seen him around too.
Yeah.
So I know a lot of people are interested in what he has to say.
Yeah. So if Gavin really wants to do something like that, he's going to try to choose some conservatives who are kind of smart, but not smarter than him. But if he really wanted to test his mettle, he'll go against the best of the best.
Yeah, that would be interesting. Like less, because Gavin's whole bit on the podcast is like, this isn't going to be conventional politics. It's like, yeah, but if you invite Ron DeSantis, for example, it's nothing against Ron, but if you do that, it kind of is conventional politics. If you want to get unconventional, you do what you're talking about, which is like, pick the top internet debate or even Bloodsport people. Let's have Gavin Bloodsports and see. You want to be really edgy, really interesting. Do something like that. I think that you're onto something there. Like, but that's not the route they're going to go. Like, watch how unconventional this is as we invite a CPAC lineup to come and talk to me, which is how he's advertising it. You know,
it's just trying to make it look good.
Yeah. Tom, do you have more thoughts on that?
At this point, all he has to do is run for the nomination. So he's got to be pushing back against any potential Democratic contenders that are coming up in 28. He just wants to be the highest profile of those, at least until, mid 2028 when they start doing primaries.
Yeah, and who, if I were a betting man today, I know the polls show that Democrat voters like Kamala, which I can't believe. But if I were a betting man, put everything I got on Gavin Newsom as your 2028 Democrat nominee. I know a lot can change, but I just don't. The thing about Gavin, I can't stand him as a politician. I think the guy is literally greasy. There's no way I would want anything to do with him personally or as my governor or in any sort of government role. But I still can recognize talent presentationally. And I think he has presentational talent. And I can't name another Democrat that has presentational talent close to what I think he has. There's just nobody else. Right. Who else is going to beat him in that way?
I mean, no matter how
presentable, he has a good image when he does talk, and he's always smiling, and unless he's talking about something serious, and then he gets that concerned look on his face. Yeah. But well, we'll see what happens.
The problem is
that.
Go ahead. Sorry.
Yeah, I do think that if he were to run for the 2028 election, he does stand. He has a good chance of getting in, right? I mean, look how in shambles California is, and yet he is still the governor.
Yeah, that's the thing is I don't know that like a swing voter in the Midwest finds that much appeal in a California Democrat fresh off watching his state burn down. And those ads that you're going to see of the state of, well, not the state, but LA, the biggest city. When you see the clips that come back, and I guarantee you those LA fires will be a part of the opposition campaign against him, even if it's a couple of years from now. And you see those clips of people begging for his help and him being, remember when he was like faking talking to Biden on the phone and stuff? All that stuff was damaging and will sustain. So I just think that there's enough bad governance in California that even if his opposition is lacking in talent or there's enough substance there to hit him with, you just tell the rest of the country, like, do you want the United States to be California? If not, don't vote for Gavin. And it's that simple.
Well, I mean, we just had a candidate where we said, do you want the world to continue on like it's been under Biden, and didn't distinguish herself from him at all, and they were happy to go along with it.
But they performed poorly, and Gavin. I think Gavin would do better than Kamala, but I don't think Gavin. I don't think Gavin has massive pull beyond that. I think he's just, I think he's the best the Democrats have, but I'm not extremely scared of him. If the, like, let's say JD Vance runs, I'd be pretty confident in Vance.
Yeah.
Ron DeSantis, for whatever reason, did not have the most, I shouldn't say for whatever reason. Ron DeSantis, even though I think he is right on most policy things, he lacks that kind of like presentational spark that gets people excited.
Charisma.
He's very effective at running his state, but he is not a very charismatic person.
Yeah, so that was kind of his downfall. I guess I'd be a little worried if it was DeSantis against Gavin, but it probably won't be. I think it's JD Vance's to lose, and I think he's going to be your guy.
Yeah. How do you think that debate went? That was DeSantis and Newsom that they had.
Yeah, I remember it happened last year, and I was trying to rattle my brain to remember. I know I watched it, and I don't even remember it at all.
I'm pretty sure I've seen it. I just don't remember it.
Yeah.
Like, period.
Anyway, all right. Thank you for calling, Tom. I appreciate it.
All right, thanks. Take care.
Have a good night, man.
Yep.
Won't let me kick him out of here. It literally will not let me, Tom. Oh, there it goes. All right. We got 2 more calls. Are you on any kind of time crunch?
Nah, man, I'm good.
Okay, we'll get through these 2, and then we'll catch up with Super Chat. We'll call it a night.
Gotcha.
Justin, are you there?
Yep, I'm here.
All right, what's on your mind, man?
Yeah. All those government employees getting fired for using government resources to be degenerate. If that's not a perfect encapsulation of our current political moment, I don't know what is.
One thing I didn't get into that I probably should have is just the confidence that you have to do that too. It's like, there's no job I've ever had. First of all, like, I'd be terrified for my employer to see like my text or something, and I'm not even like, if people were to see my texts, you'd actually be shocked at how not. The shocking thing would be how boring they are, especially in this phase of my life. There's nothing juicy like those NSA employee chats. But the thing is, has anyone ever worked a job where you would feel confident to put that sort of stuff on a workplace communication platform? It's amazing that they were confident enough to do that.
That's because they've never been held accountable.
Well, they thought they wouldn't be, I guess.
Yeah.
I mean, I have a separate phone for my job that I use for a whole bunch of work-related stuff, getting to customers' houses, filling out work tickets, whatever. I would never dream of putting something even half as nasty as that on that work phone.
The other revealing thing is if they're telling the truth about the fake dicks and stuff that they got with their transgender surgeries, how many trannies are at the NSA? How many tranny spies do we actually have? Because it sounds like there are a lot. Or were they just bullshitting? They're not even trannies. They're just having fun on the work server.
These days, I will believe anything that comes out of there, right? Well, that was a wrong choice of words. But anyway. But
I mean, might be a little offensive to say, but hey, a trans person would be the perfect chameleon. They're okay with plastic surgery.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I don't know. I mean, the story is one of those stories that's like simultaneously shocking and not. Do you know what I mean? Like, it's amazing to think about that there was confidence to post that sort of thing on a server, but then it's like, well, yeah, but all the premises line up for that. Like the federal government exists to promote degeneracy. There's no accountability. And so degeneracy is proudly posted everywhere. And it's not just that it's like paraded around in that way. It's that it's on the work, like on the boss's dime, on the public's dime, not just like the time that we're purchasing from these people, but the physical resources of the computers and the chat rooms and all this stuff.
Mm-hmm.
And they don't care.
Well,
it's the ultimate middle finger.
And then you've got people that are whining and saying that this is cancel culture. Like, no, it absolutely is not. Cancel culture is when you publicly destroy somebody for something they did on their own time. Like, this has never been an acceptable thing in any private sector job.
No, there's cancel culture, and then there's your boss just firing you. And this is really just your boss just firing you. I understand that it's become public, but who's actually mad here? Like, when you think of cancel culture, the worst of it is like uninvolved parties going and lobbying somebody else to, fire someone or get them in trouble when they really actually have no stake. Mm-hmm. But these people are public employees. We all have a stake because we all pay for them. So of course nobody owes you a job if you are a horrible waste and drain on the public dime.
Yeah, absolutely not.
Anyway. All right. Do you have any closing thoughts on Fed degeneracy?
Kind of obliquely. Did you see that Jake Tapper is coming out with a book about the cover up of Biden's mental decline?
Yeah. So after years of saying it's tinfoil hattery, now he has a tell-all.
Yeah. And it's funny how they're just starting to come out with the truth now that the winds have shifted.
Yeah.
And this is absolutely going to be used in future as like, oh, you can trust the media. See, they told the truth.
Would have been an interesting book 3 years ago, Jake.
Yeah. After it actually mattered.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, thanks for calling in, man. I appreciate it.
You guys have a good night.
You as well.
You too, man. But that's the thing that bothers me the most, right? You have a lot of people who was opposed to Trump and opposed to conservatives and even Christians to a point. But now that the winds have shifted, all of a sudden, maybe Biden wasn't mentally stable, or we're actually being accountable now. You're only playing like Mark Zuckerberg. If you believe that he's actually actually against censorship, you're dumb, right?
Yeah, in a lot of ways, I hate that stuff more, like Target, for example, doing the same thing too. Like, we got all our diversity and black-owned businesses and George Floyd murals. Oh, wait, that's not profitable and the current president doesn't like it anymore. Okay, we're not doing that anymore. If you're an actual lefty commie,
be a lefty commie,
then stick with it. Yeah,
just fully commit. I will respect people more if they just stayed committed to what they were. Right.
Yeah.
I may not like your position or anything like that, but I at least respect you that you're, a common piece of shit. But
you have your principles, even if they are totally wrong. But yes, I agree. If your principle is like, all right, where are the winds blowing today? Who's in power and how can I benefit from it? Yeah, that's like the worst possible person.
It means you have no stance whatsoever, and you will easily fold according to the next regime. You don't stand on anything.
Yeah.
So if Mark Zuckerberg has always stood against censorship and fought the government to make sure everybody gets their voice heard, now I have more respect for him, but he doesn't.
Yeah.
Because I guarantee you if the next president is a Democrat and they say censorship all the way, he's going to fold.
He probably will. We'll find out when it's Gavin Newsom very soon.
Yeah. Oh, he's going to fold.
All right, Golden Leaf, what's on your mind, man?
How you gentlemen doing today?
We're doing all right. How are you?
Doing fancy. I got a bag of Swedish fish next to me. That I
sound like a damn leprechaun or something.
Oh,
top of the morning to you.
Dude, I fucking love Swedish fish. Swedish fish is my jam, man.
It is, especially just if I'm at work, I'll just be snacking on it. But then I've always got that option of, someone's trying to talk to me. I have a mouthful of Swedish fish. Why are you trying to talk to me now?
All right. Did you finish your Swedish fish, or are we going to have to endure this?
Oh, no.
Okay.
No. I have a bag beside me. But as soon as I realize, my turn's coming up, I'm like, okay,
thank you.
Swedish fish
Thank
yet.
you. Yeah, I would have kicked you out if I had to hear that smacking.
Bro, see, I'm all
right.
Go ahead, man.
But I want to talk about general, the culture of guns per se. I'm guessing both of you guys. What is something that the common man cannot own as part of the Second Amendment? Where do you draw the line?
Oh, okay. If so, philosophically, for me, I don't. I would say that if there's something you can own that inherently damages others or puts them at great risk, like inherent risk, perhaps. But that to me, there's no such small arm that does that. Like, the Second Amendment refers to arms, keep and bear arms, and so it's a question of what fits in the definition of arms.
So,
like, are we going? What are you saying? You could own nukes? You think you could have nukes?
Okay,
Yes. No, go ahead.
Oh, sorry. My main thing is weapons that, when you put, the way I'm going to say it sounds weird, but when you point at something you can destroy it, you have some control. Like, for example, I don't think owning chemical weapons or a nuke is one of those, because it has a lot of uncontrollable consequences. You can't really put a mustard gas back in the bottle, per
But
se.
what if you had the crew necessary to maintain the nuclear loadout?
Yeah.
I would still say no on that, just because not only, like, I don't think you're going to use a nuke on one lone home intruder and then next thing you know, your town's a crater.
Well, but to push
what
back.
What if you launched it against I got.
What if the mob comes for you and you need the tactical nuke? Yeah. It's not just one home intruder.
Let me get a 25 kill streak real quick, and then I'll call it a Moab.
So how about this then, right? So take the nuke example, and then take street gangs, right? Bloods and Crips that can legally own that kind of thing.
Eric Adams' friends in New York.
Eric
his
Adams'
supporters.
Friends. No, not his supporters, his disciples.
Oh,
right?
okay, all right.
Let's get that one straight.
Yeah.
But if you want to take it in that context, and if there was really hell-bent on destroying the other, then you're opening a can of disaster, basically, because they don't really care about collateral damage.
Oh,
Does that make sense?
Screener Tim responded, I definitely do agree. If you can't direct the damage the weapon will cause, I think is a much more better way of saying that.
Even that has kind of gray area around it, but I get what you're saying.
Yeah.
To me, if anything that got this discussion beyond small arms is a major win. Like, if this country granted the premise that small arms are within the absolute protection of the Second Amendment, and we were having a debate instead about like gigantic bombs, win. I'll take that.
My main thing also with the Second Amendment, I'm a big supporter of, I want to see a militia in every town, city, village, small town. I think I just said town twice, but and not just protection from external threats, but also teaching radio communication, first aid, how to navigate a forest if you're lost.
Natural disasters.
Here's the thing. I think we had that at one point at the founding of our nation, right? Every state kind of had its own militia.
They had the Minutemen, but that's the thing. Every man is kind of a part of a local group of prepared men.
They were called Minutemen, I believe. But I actually agree with the whole militia thing. See, for me, I don't want to necessarily join our official military. I would rather just join a militia. These guys can do probably a great job at, they know their communities better than anyone, so they'll probably be better at helping people, defending people.
The best news is, as soon as you join a militia, a friendly guy comes to your door offering you short-barreled shotgun parts at a discounted price.
God.
It's great.
Yeah.
And I think also we need to fight back against the problematic word militia. Because
it's a constitutional term, and it has a negative connotation, like you're in some cult.
And, I want to push back on that, because we need to, the Second Amendment community is already, for the militia and everything, but we also need to make it more palatable for the normal people.
We need to have militia season, okay? That's what we need.
Yeah, and like maybe the local militia, helps out, just showing, here's how to basically, use gauze, or here's how to put a splint.
I want open carrying guys helping old ladies cross the street, okay? They need to be Boy Scouts, but they need to be carrying ARs or AKs. All right? I get what you're saying.
We were a proper country when in the fairgrounds in the 1940s, instead of the little pellet guns, they actually used fucking 22 rifles to blink at targets.
No, I get your point though. And there's no first of all, it's not negative. It's actually it's a sign of a healthy community to have that sort of thing.
Yeah.
And so one way or another, it should be not just taken back, but promoted.
Damn it! I want the local militia to show the kids, like, having blanks, but having them pull the cord on M777. That's a howitzer, by the way. That's what I want to see militias have is M777s. It's full blanks, but they have the kids pull the string to set it off. It's a big event. It's not scary. It's like here's.
Yeah.
I want to see little Timmy pull a cord on M777.
All right, go for it, Joshy boy, and then I'll get his joke in. I'll get back to your joke, Golden Leaf.
To kind of point out, you also want a militia just in case the U.S. military is used against you, because a militia can be your first and last line of defense against official government, right?
Of course,
So
we've seen it happen before. Look at Afghanistan. Hell, even look at Vietnam.
Yeah,
it tends to happen, and I think it would be different in America because you'll probably see some number of the military join the side of the government. But then most of the others will be like, what the fuck are we doing? Why are we firing on our own civilians?
Yeah.
All right.
Or maybe the pilot would be like, no, I'm not dropping this bomb because it's going to hurt civilians.
What's your punchline of the night?
Yes. You already know.
I know the bit.
All right. What is an Italian chef's favorite movie?
Snow White.
You said Snow White, Joshy boy?
No. Matt says Snow White. I say Ratatouille.
Oh.
An Italian chef's favorite movie is Mission Impossible.
Boo. Boo.
Get the hell out of here.
All right.
You gentlemen have a lovely day. Remember, the Second Amendment is absolute.
Well, it's currently 11 p.m., so I'll just have a good night.
Thank you for calling in, man. All right. We had Turles sneak in here. You want to do one more quick call since he's hanging out?
Man.
All right, Turles, you snuck in.
You son of a bitch.
What's on your mind? Turles?
Oops, sorry.
Oh, there we go.
Missed the button. Well, hello there.
Hey.
I thought I would visit that NSA CIA topic a little bit more if the previous caller didn't.
Yeah. What do you got?
Sorry, I'm turning you guys up a little bit. You're coming in a little quiet, but
yeah.
I just I don't really know the answer to this, but I thought I would ask the question. Where do we recruit these people from? Because I think I saw one tweet mentioning that there were something like hundreds of trans-identifying people in the CIA and NSA, which is just.
I thought I saw that too.
Enormously unlikely,
Well, these are workforces of thousands, are they not? I mean, not that justifies it, but they are large workforces, is what I'm saying. But
yeah, I mean,
would be
somewhat
like
large, but not large enough to justify that kind of ratio.
Yeah, well, and to your point, we know that's a factor for selection, almost certainly. The diversity points are certainly being calculated.
Mm-hmm.
Oh yeah, exactly, and so. I would very much like to know where we're recruiting these people from, because as always, when it comes to the expert class, we have for too long had this running assumption that the best and the brightest had our backs in these key positions, and now we're talking about national security, and these people are treating it like a casual Reddit Discord chat, and this is just obviously unacceptable from a national security perspective.
I guess, is there some kind of Troon factory somewhere that the federal government has weaponized? Because it is a lot of it is a lot to scoop up and for all of them to have a very particular job. Now, here's the question for you, Turles. Maybe you've got it backward. Like, where are they finding these people? Maybe they are actually manufacturing them. Like, maybe these people aren't that when they go in, but they become that as a result of that environment.
That's some tinfoil that I can actually kind of get behind, in a way, because it doesn't make a whole lot of sense otherwise. It's like that it has to be this way because they want it to be this way, not just as a natural consequence. I think that makes far more sense.
So we have to find their factory, and we have to put a stop to it. Where Trump can go find it after he's done touring Fort Knox. Now I'm going to figure out where all these trannies are coming from after that.
Right, and some people have been talking about that guy who kind of self-immolated a year ago.
Yeah.
And how he used to be kind of a normie, just a normal church attending lad. and somehow he was radicalized to the point of torching himself for Palestine or whatever.
Yeah.
And it's like in a vacuum, it doesn't seem like that should be happening, but they have their ways apparently.
Well, if he was training for Palestine, Palestine earned a very good victory that day. They would have thrown him off the rooftop if they found out.
Yeah.
Yeah.
All right. Well, any closing thoughts from you, Mr. Turles?
Well, just that I do think national security is important, and I wish we took it more seriously. I don't know if you've been seeing trending on Twitter lately, the Chinese fishing fleets that are basically just sterilizing the oceans, and it's like, wait, I don't know. It seems like there are things going on out in the world that do affect us on a foreign policy level that we could be thinking about, but instead we're talking about, hey, check out my, my mutilated, what's, and isn't that cool?
Yeah.
Hey, check out my new rubber hose that I got in between my legs.
All right. Thank you, Turles. Appreciate it.
Sure. Yeah.
All right, that'll do it on calls for the evening. Well, thanks for making it a fun round of, at least for now, at the last kind of hour of calls. I appreciate it. We'll see how my new structured limited call thing goes next week and beyond. But Mr. Joshy Boy, I just got some super chat. You want to stick around for those, or you want to call it a night?
No, I'll stick around.
All right. Well, over on Rumble, Sir Nomad, cue up. This one looks like a good one. There's a punchline here. All right. It's tough being Jewish. My family and I went to the kosher deli to sit down and have a little brisket, and the waitress asked, "Is everything okay?" All right. GR. Hey, my. Oh, he's hold on. I don't even have that button on quick deployment. I lost it actually. Hey, my. Oh, where is it? I totally lost it. Hey, my Kanigas. Where did I even put? Dude, I buried it so deep in my soundboard. I've lost it entirely. I can't find it. I'm sorry, GR. Yeah, I don't. Where did I put it? I lost it somewhere. I know it's in here, but I don't have time to. I don't have to dig through. I don't have time to dig through all of it. Yeah, it's somewhere in there.
Of all the surnames I've ever heard on this show, that one has to be the most unfortunate. We've heard things like Russ Fag, Cockburn, Wiener.
I need to find Judge Russ Fag. He was a Montana judge. Oh, here, I finally found it.
Kaniga.
Hey, my.
Kaniga.
Do you ever look at Joy Reid like? Do you have like a middle name you can go by? Well, she's Joy Ann Reid, right? I'm not sure I understand the joke, actually. But anyway, I say sorry. I'm sure there's something over my head, GR. But Russ Fag was a Montana judge, and so he's maybe if this doesn't work out, I'll intern for Russ Fag, or convince him to run for Senate or something like that. But God, those ads! I need to go back. Fag, Judge Russ Fag. And by the way, Raju Bahan, I can say this because that's the name of the guy. Look him up. RUSSFAGG. Russ Fag. He's a legitimate judge in the state of Montana.
All you need to do is add the O and the T. And it'll be complete. I can't.
Yes, Russ Fag is his nickname. His full name is Russell Faggot. You're right. All right. Okay. GR also says, if these people keep electing somebody with the same promises and policies from the same party and expecting different results, why should we feel for them? Stop voting like an idiot. Well, California's going to do it all the way into the ground, man.
Dude, you're asking a stupid person to not be stupid.
I do wonder what the limits of California commitment to the Democrat Party are. And
Dude,
if the fire doesn't do it, what will?
Those people are so thoroughly programmed, right? You can pretty much not just burn their homes down. You can throw them down a well. You can curb stop them to the ground. You can throw them in the ocean, let them drown. They'll still vote for the same people simply because to go on an anti-republic rant real quick as a monarchist, right?
Not Republican, Republic, the system of government.
Yeah, the Republic.
Yeah.
It focuses on what you're not. right?
Okay.
So I'm not a Republican, therefore I only vote Democrat.
Mhm.
I'm not Democrat, therefore I only vote Republican. I have a coworker who's a Democrat since the party was different. He will vote Democrat regardless of what's going on, even if he disagrees with what they're doing.
Yeah. Well, it is amazing, even in California, Californians, dedicated ones that I've encountered, they will rationalize how still things that are wrong with Californians are in one way, shape, or form still Republicans' fault. Whether it's Donald Trump, whether it's Republicans in their state capital, one way or another, everything that sucks about California, it's still not the fault of the Democrat Party, even though the Democrat Party has unchecked power across that state.
And will continue to have unchecked power.
If only conservatives would leave them alone, it's that kind of reasoning.
Oh, don't worry. There's a lot of people who are conservative who are leaving. It costs more to leave California than it is to go in it. That's the thing.
The U-Haul out is, it's not, you can't get it. It's completely unobtainable. All right. Sir Nomad says, Gavin Newsom, his hair is the only thing he governs without a crisis. Fair. That's
a good one.
He has turned California into a sanctuary state for bad ideas. He'd tax the sun for shining too bright. He probably would, right? GR. Oh, I was talking about Henyard. But that counts too. Okay, so you're talking about Henyard's middle name?
I don't know her middle name.
Blowing it as usual, I see. More second tier hosting. Well, thank you, GR. I appreciate it. Let's see. Over on YouTube and Rumble. Actually, let me get over to Odyssey quick. I left Blankets hanging. Blankets has the quality Joy Reid memes. The Blanket said, Matt, guess you can say with Joy's show being canceled, you can say that she is Black History. Well, she is Black History now. You're right. D-Live, we're good. Let me get over on Tippy and YouTube. Let's see. Unthoughtful speech. Matt now out here slinging wood even easier for all the love makers for Matt. All right. I don't even know. Who am I slinging the wood or who's slinging the wood?
That security board advertisement you did earlier.
Oh,
a lot of people are making a hard wood joke. I mean, I made one earlier today.
Slinging wood. That okay? You know what? I'm glad you explained it because that I'm gonna acknowledge that one.
I love you.
I've never thought that I was slinging wood by promoting Kineo Mountain Woodsmithing, but you're right. And so for that observation, I will give you recognition. All right, Great White. We got the NSA's sexy chat records, but Matt's chat records are too spicy for even the NSA weaves. That's the funny thing. Are you talking about my chat, like the YouTube chat? Maybe. My personal chat? No. My personal chat is, hey, what's for dinner tonight? Okay. We have to do this for the kids at this time. All right. That's my personal chat. And the reason, another reason that I don't have like a fun chat. Like the feds already scooped all my stuff with that tenant thing, man, and the two-step rule. They scooped if there was anything interesting to show in my communications, it would have been out there. So unfortunately, I don't have anything interesting in that regard. Doesn't matter.
You will have your hit piece.
I did get my hit pieces out of that.
Yeah.
I got the tenant hit pieces. So and then the one I'm the most proud of is what's her face? Nina Janky whatever. Jankowitz.
Mm-hmm.
That's my most proud hit piece. And then that crazy lady at USA Today who when I asked her editors if she stands by the statement that what I said about the Venezuelan gangs in Aurora taking over the apartment buildings, she said that was largely disproven. And I went back to her to challenge on that. And she said I was harassing her, even though I kept it purely professional. And then her USA Today editors said that they stand by the reporting that said I was promoting largely disproven conspiracy theories that Aurora gangs or that Venezuelan gangs were present in the Aurora apartments. It was completely insane the way that developed. But it's been a little bit since a hit piece, since I had one. So I guess I gotta try again. Yeah. Doesn't matter. Any government computer systems that can be accessed by a person have a use disclaimer upon login. It says they are all subject to monitoring and your conversations are not subject to any privacy. Yeah. And even if I didn't, even if I never read that thing and I just check the box and say yes or whatever, it's a confidence thing too, like we're saying, you know. I mean, I have no doubt that they agreed to terms that are contrary to what was in the chat. But man, is it insane. Like, I don't care if I'm making sandwiches at Subway, and that's no disrespect to the talented sandwich artists out there, all right? I'm just saying, if there's like a employee chat system at Subway, I'm not putting in there like, hey, you guys want to check out my foot long or something, you know?
No, they have absolutely no shame whatsoever. I'm like, when I go to work, I do church maintenance, and sometimes we're just kind of sitting around because there's nothing to do.
Yeah.
I have this laptop that I'm using right now, and sometimes I just write. I will close it. I mean, it can be nothing nefarious. It's just me typing or reading something, right?
Yeah.
But I will close it simply because I don't want my coworkers to be like, hey, man, what you looking up?
Yeah.
It's like,
Yeah.
none of your business.
I'm reading about the many benefits of monarchy. Leave me alone.
I'm reading about the Lord. There you go.
A German man has entered the chat. Friedrich Krebs von Krassenstein. All right. Sent you an email about the Idaho City Council meeting where security zip-tied some lady at the sheriff's encouragement. I worked for that company for some time. If you just sent it today, maybe I haven't seen it. Otherwise, I might have missed it if you sent it earlier, because I'm fairly caught up on my emails right now. So if you just sent it like, within the last few hours, then I'll see it later this week. But if it's a while ago, send it again because I don't remember. Thank you, Friedrich. Oil King, Dan Crenshaw is a petroleum engineer. He is trying to steal my oil. What is going on in Texas? Well, yeah, I mean, I guess you got to protect it. I always forget. I thought you were like Saudi Arabian, Mr. Oil King. Now you're a Texan man. Oh, God. Here we go.
I don't have too many. Oh, go ahead.
Dell's got a chat.
Oh, boy.
Yes. When I was younger, I didn't have any facial hair, but then it grew on me. Now, Dell is ineligible to win, but that's a good one.
I like that one, though.
Yeah.
In the true black fashion, I'm going to steal it.
I love you.
You've earned an entry. Yeah.
All right.
But yeah, and the thing about Dell is it's funny and true. Great beard, Santa style.
I tried growing a beard. I can't. And then I began to hate facial hair, so I just shave it.
Not that I have no delusions about the quality of my own beard. I always just kind of have like a shortly trimmed kind of beard, not like a full beard, and I'm not clean shaven. I'm trying to remember the last time I was clean shaven, though. It's been probably, dude, it might be the better part of a decade. I have not been clean baby face shaven in like.
It would look weird if you did.
Oh, man. That's the thing too. Yeah. If you start getting inventive with that sort of stuff and you have to like appear as part of your job, if it goes wrong, it's like, not that I am afraid of ridicule or something. I mean, okay, I get made fun of all the time. It's just like, I also have to be serious in my presentation, Yeah. And so if you don't feel confident in that when you feel like you look like a joke, it's hard to be serious, Anyway, I wish you the best with your beard endeavors. That's all I'm saying.
Well, that's not gonna happen.
Well,
I mean, I do have these locks right here, and this has been part of like almost a year since I've had them. My hair grows back fast.
Have you always done the lock thing, or is that like
no? This is fairly recent. So I started these, I think, sometime last year, and so whenever you see new growth right here, then the hairstylist who does it, she just adds onto it and it gets progressively longer. I've had to brush this thing out of my face. It gets in my eyes. I'm starting to have I need to wear like a head wrap if I want to eat my food because it gets in my food or whatever.
I think it's a cool look, but have you considered the Henyard blonde weave? Have you thought about that one?
See, I have my mother and sister, and when I was younger, I would always chastise them for having fake hair.
Yeah.
Because I look stupid or dumb. And I think they're finally listening to me.
Huh.
So weave is, I'm sorry, if you're going to, my thing about black women having hair like that, I shouldn't be mean, but I'm going to be mean anyway. You look stupid as hell, right?
I'd like to say, fuck you!
Well, fuck you! No, I was kidding. Anyway.
Well, no, in LaDonna's defense, she didn't have a weave. She was all natural.
That's good.
Yeah.
I mean, she doesn't look, they already, black women like that, they already complain about white women, right? And then I saw this little interview where this guy was like, well, you guys are trying to look like white women, right? with the weave and how you're straightening your hair and how it's waving and everything. And I was like, and then some of them like Joy Reid, right?
She stole Trump's
blonde.
hair.
Yeah.
She did the Karen Trump, like a weird combination of both.
I mean, I like natural people's hair. I don't like it when you do weave or wigs or anything like that. But that's just me.
Last couple here, our call screener, Dangerous Spaces. His name is Russell C. Fag. Thank you for clarifying. Sounds like a Dr. Seuss book trying to explain homosexuality to kids. Russell C. Fag. Yeah, you're right. Too lazy to try to make up a rhyme to prove my point, though. No, I see what you're saying. I see your joke about Russell C. Fag. Yeah. GR says, are you actually calling that... Wait. That fag-ass thing close to your face a beard? You think you have a beard, gay wop? I mean... what I'm saying is nobody would call me clean shaven. You know, I'm not like full beard man, but I'm not clean shaven either. It's always been. I get that you're trying to.
The thing about me not having facial hair is that people think that I'm younger than I actually am. And for those of you in the chat who don't know, I actually am 30 years old.
Yeah.
Most people think that I'm either in a teenager, like 18. Some people think I'm in my early 20s. But
Black don't crack. Yeah.
It really. Well, shit, for some of us.
They just, well, I mean, some do crack, I guess, but, you know, that's a different crack.
Joy Reid definitely cracked hard, so.
And, you know, they do the Hunter Biden crack is what I'm saying. But, yeah. Anyway, all right, I think we're all caught up. But, yeah, we're good on Odyssey. D-Live, we're good. Rumble, let me give a quick refresh. All right, anything else you want to say before we're out of here?
This was fun, actually. I was a bit nervous at first. I've never shown my face on camera. I don't see how you do it often, but it was fun.
Well, I appreciate you joining in, and I'm sure I'll have a role for you to sit in the chair in the future iteration of the Wednesday show, whatever that may be. Constantly, or we're under construction in that regard. But thanks to Joshy Boy for sitting in with me this evening. Very much appreciated. Thank you to everybody who called in tonight. Appreciate you guys. Thanks to producer Tim for making the live production a success. If you'd like to find more to listen to, check out the podcast page of my website, mattchristiansenmedia.com/podcasts. I'll be back on Sunday night. Have a great week. Until then.
Good night, everybody.